Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Ujjwal Whatifs and I am back with a new video. It's a complete story of what if Ash started his Pokemon journey with Mew. It's a combination of all the episodes of this series in one long video. Also remember, I the Ujjwal Whatifs am the writer and editor of this series, and before we start let's give the answer to my last question of how many Pokemon in total did Ash caught in this series. And the answer is a total of 75 Pokemons, if we count the extra 8 Dragonairs and 6 Dragonite he has. But if we count all the Dragonairs and Dragonites as one, then he has a total of 62 Pokemons, and sadly none of you had given the correct answer. Let's just forget about that and just begin. 10 years before Ash's Pokemon journey. In the sterile glow of the hospital nursery, Delia's agonized screams pierced the air like thunderclaps. Sweat beaded on her forehead as she gripped her husband Red's hand with crushing force, her nails digging into his skin. "Red, I swear, I'm going to kill you for this," she gasped through gritted teeth. Red Ketchum, the reigning Kanto champion and a direct descendant of the legendary Aura Guardian Sir Aaron from Cameron Palace, winced but held steady. His appearance echoed his younger anime self. Spiky black hair, determined red cap tilted back, but age had etched lines of wisdom and quiet strength across his face. As a current member of the Aura Guardians, he channeled calm through the pain. "Easy, Delia. I know it hurts, but please. My arm's not gonna survive this," he said, tears welling in his eyes from the pressure. Delia Ketchum, born into the illustrious Williams psychic family, was one of the world's most renowned psychics. Her looks is the same as in the anime. Warm brown eyes, gentle waves of auburn hair, were twisted in torment, yet her power simmered beneath, bending the air with faint psychic ripples. "Ma'am, calm down and push. Just a little harder," urged the doctor, his voice steady amid the chaos. Minutes stretched into eternity. Then, a sharp, triumphant cry shattered the tension, a newborn's wail echoing off the walls. In the nursery's soft light, Delia cradled the tiny bundle against her chest. The baby boy gazed up with wide brown eyes, his cheeks marked by 2 distinctive lightning bolt tufts, like sparks frozen in time. Red leaned in, his battle-hardened face softening into a grin. "He looks so cute, just like you." "But those eyes, they're all yours," Delia murmured, her smile radiant despite the exhaustion, tracing a finger along the infant's cheek. Red nodded, pride swelling. "What should we name him?" "Ash," Delia whispered, gazing at the child with fierce love. "Ash Red Ketchum, after your father, Ashton." Their joyful bubble burst with a divine voice, deep and resonant as the cosmos itself. "Congratulations, Guardian Red and Miss Psychic." Shock rippled through them, muscles tensed, aura flaring around Red in a blue shimmer. Psychic energy crackling from Delia's fingertips. They spun, battle ready, but when they saw the figure hovering in the air, recognition dawned, and they relaxed, bowing slightly. Before them hovered Arceus, the alpha Pokemon, its wheeled form gleaming like polished gold, rings pulsing with otherworldly light. "Greetings, Lord Arceus," Red said, voice steady. "Thank you for your blessings, but may I ask why you've graced us with your presence?" "Flattering as it is, I doubt it's just for congratulations." Arceus's eyes gleamed with ancient wisdom, as sharp as ever. "Guardian, you're correct. I'm here for him. The Chosen One." A crystalline hoof gestured toward the cradle. "Chosen One?" Red echoed, confusion knitting his brow. Delia's breath hitched. Their gazes snapped to baby Ash, eyes widening in unison. "You mean, our son?" Delia asked, her voice cracking with disbelief. "Precisely, Miss Psychic," Arceus intoned, pride vibrating in its voice like a cosmic hymn. "Your son is no ordinary Chosen One. He bears the greatest potential this era has seen. The perfect fusion of aura and psychic might. He will command any legendary Pokemon. He will save this world from the disasters to come. Red and Delia's stares shifted to Ash, pride igniting like a badge earned in victory, yet worry shadowed it. In their lineages, a chosen one's path was forged in trials of fire and shadow. Arceus noted their turmoil and softened. Fear not, the legendaries will shield him always, and why him? You may ask. Well, I did not choose. He was selected by my father, the creator of all, who birthed even me. They gaped in shock at their son, minds reeling from the divine lineage. Arceus granted them a moment, its presence patient as eternity. Composing themselves, they watched as Arceus continued, "It's time for me to depart, but before I go, I have 2 gifts for the child." Red tilted his head. "Gifts, my lord." A radiant egg materialized beside Ash, hovering gently, its shell swirling with starry patterns. "First, this. Delivered by my father's command, bound to him alone, it will hatch and aid his journey when the time is right." Then, a luminous orb detached from Arceus's core, merging into Ash in a warm, golden pulse. The baby cooed, unharmed. "Second, an essence of my power. It will accelerate his healing, and allow him to mend humans and Pokemon alike." Red and Delia bowed deeply, gratitude etching their faces. "Thank you, Lord Arceus. My task here is complete," Arceus said, and his form began to fade. "One final advice. Train him in your arts as soon as he's able to train. His aura and psychic potential eclipses even yours. Vast, untamed, world-shaking." With that, it vanished in a burst of starlight. Alone now, Red and Delia extended their senses. Aura flowed from Red like a river of blue flame. Psychic waves emanated from Delia like a golden mist. Together, they probed the infant, and reeled back. Titanic reservoirs of power slumbered within Ash, deeper and wilder than any they'd known. Resolved, they shared a determined glance. "We start his training at 5, Red vowed. Delia nodded, cradling their destined son close. The chosen one's legend had begun. 10 years later, a breathtaking evening unfolded as the sun dipped between 2 jagged mountains, casting a warm yellowish glow across the sky. Birds chirped in harmonious chorus while a gentle breeze rustled the tree branches, sending leaves drifting lazily to the ground like golden confetti. On the roadside, a 10-year-old boy jogged steadily, dressed in sleek black track pants and a fitted black t-shirt. A shrunken Master Ball necklace gleamed against his chest. This was Ash Ketchum, the protagonist, the son of champion Aura Guardian Red Ketchum and renowned psychic Delia Ketchum, chosen by the creator of all to save the world from looming disasters. Handsome and strikingly mature for his age, Ash boasted raven black hair, piercing brown eyes, and a muscular physique that set him apart from other 10-year-olds, a true prodigy. He had mastered both aura and psychic powers in just 5 years. At age 5, his training began under the guidance of his parents and relatives. In aura, he honed his skills to understand Pokemon effortlessly and wield aura with precision. He trained alongside the Aura Guardians of Cameron Castle and a millennia-old Lucario, once sealed within Sir Aaron's staff. A few years earlier, as Ash practiced with the staff, he accidentally released Lucario, sensing Ash's aura. So similar to Sir Aaron's, the ancient Pokemon mistook him for the legendary Guardian and attacked, but upon realizing his error, Lucario dropped to his knees, apologizing profusely to the innocent boy. After heartfelt talks with Ash and his aunt, Queen Rin, Lucario learned the truth. Sir Aaron was no traitor, but a hero who sacrificed everything to save Cameron Castle. Overcome with regret, Lucario vowed to train Ash in all he knew, shaping him through the years ahead. Meanwhile, Ash delved into psychic powers with his relatives, Sabrina and her father, Jonathan, Ash's uncle from Saffron City. Together, they pushed him to mastery. In those intense 5 years of balancing aura and psychic training, Ash absorbed everything. Aura wisdom from Sir Lucario, psychic mastery from Jonathan. He emerged as Cameron Castle's first 10-year-old Grand Master of Aura and a true psychic master. He had also perfected the healing gift from Arceus, using it to mend countless Pokemon over the past 5 years, restoring health and hope wherever he went. Back to the present, Ash wiped the sweat from his brow after a grueling jogging session through the sprawling forest-like backyard of his family's Pallet Town estate. Towering oaks and vibrant wildflowers stretched endlessly, a private haven where his father Red's Pokemon roamed freely alongside his mother Delia's loyal companions. Breathing deeply, he ignited his aura, a shimmering blue energy that rippled around him like liquid sapphire. Then layered on psychic training, levitating pebbles in intricate patterns to hone his mind's edge. As he wrapped up, a sudden whoosh cut the air, a sparkling blue orb slammed into his chest, knocking him back a step. "Daddy, Daddy, I missed you so much," the orb chirped in a melodic, childlike voice. Ash chuckled, steadying himself as he scooped it up. "I missed you too, Princess, but why'd you skip today's training?" The blue sprite giggled, zipping around his head to reveal her true form. A petite, mouse-like Pokemon with oversized eyes, a slender tail that fanned out like a kite, and a glossy, iridescent blue hide that shimmered in the sunlight. This was no ordinary Mew. It was a shiny Dex entry Mew, the DNA Pokemon, psychic type, who said to have every Pokemon's DNA and can use every types of attacks. This Pokemon is female, and had the ability Synchronize. By the looks of his different coloration, it is believed to be a shiny Pokemon. Attacks known by this Pokemon: Ally Switch, Transform, Psychic, Solar Beam, Ancient Power, Psycho Cut, Dragon Claw, Dragon Tail, Frost Breath, Infestation, Poison Jab, Pound, Rock Smash, Snarl, Iron Tail, Surf, Electro Ball, Protect. "That's a secret," she teased, hovering playfully at eye level. Ash grinned. "Fair enough. So, tomorrow we finally start our journey." Mew's eyes sparkled as she beamed back. "Yeah." She settled onto his shoulder, her tiny paws gripping his shirt. The familiar weight triggered a vivid flashback in Ash's mind. 4 years ago, a radiant glow pulsed from Ash's dimensional storage bag, the enchanted gift from his father Red on his 5th birthday. A bottomless void for effortless carrying. Curious, he peered inside and froze. His Pokemon egg, nestled in its incubator, was hatching. He gently extracted it, cradling the glowing shell. Cracks spider webbed across its surface, and with a final shimmer, a blue feliform creature tumbled out, large, curious eyes blinking up at him. A long tail swaying lazily. Ash gasped. A Mew, but blue. "It's a shiny Mew." The newborn Mew shook off bits of shell. Locked eyes with Ash, the first face she saw, and squealed, "Daddy." She launched into his arms, nuzzling close. Ash knew the lore. Hatchlings imprinted on their first sight as parents. He smiled warmly, heart swelling. "Yes, Princess." From that day, they trained relentlessly side by side. Aura drills at dawn, psychic spars till dusk. In just 4 years, Mew had evolved into one of the world's mightiest Pokemon, her power a testament to their unbreakable bond. Back to the present, Ash and Mew strolled toward the house, the sun dipping low. As they crossed the threshold into the grand hall, darkness enveloped them, every light extinguished. Then, floodlights blazed to life. "Happy birthday, Ash," a chorus of voices boomed. Today marked his 10th birthday, the gateway to his Pokemon journey in mere days. The hall buzzed with loved ones, his immediate family, kin from Dad's side at majestic Cameron Castle, and Mom's relatives from bustling Saffron City. The celebration erupted, laughter, music, the aroma of fresh cake and Delia's famous Poke Puffs, gifts piled high as relatives stepped forward. Queen Eileen, radiant in her royal gown, having ascended after her mother Queen Rin's passing from cancer 2 years prior, presented a sleek device, a portable Pokemon transporter. Ash, link it to Professor Oak's lab, and summon or store your team anywhere, anytime. Ash's eyes widened. He hugged her tightly. Thank you, Sister Eileen. Next, Jonathan and Sabrina approached, the psychic gym leader's eyes glinting mysteriously. She handed over a warm, brown egg. A surprise for your journey. It'll hatch soon. Patience, little brother. Ash beamed, embracing her. Thanks, sis. Sir Aaron's Lucario stepped up, aura pulsing in sync with Ash's. He offered a blue egg, a Riolu. It'll hatch under your care. Train it well. You'll be its father and master from the first breath. Ash nodded solemnly, accepting it. Lucario mirrored the gesture before retreating. Red grinned proudly, pressing a satchel into Ash's hands. Full sets of Cherish Balls, Ultra Balls, even Master Balls, plus evolutionary stones and rare items. Use them wisely, son. Ash hugged him. Thank you, Dad. I love you. Love you too, Red murmured, ruffling his hair. Delia followed. Her gift a stylish outfit. Durable jacket, pants, shoes, and fingerless gloves woven with aura-infused fibers. Specially made for you. Pokemon attack resistant, with psychic and aura barriers for extra protection. Love you, Mom. Thank you. Ash squeezed her tight. Delia beamed back. I love you too, sweetie. Finally, Mew floated forward shyly, clutching a handmade picture book. Here, Daddy. I drew this for you. Ash flipped through pages of colorful sketches. Him, Red, Delia, and Mew adventuring together. He smiled and said, Princess, this is the most beautiful gift ever. He petted her head, calling his parents over to admire it. Daddy, Mew piped up again. Yes, Princess, I have one more. She produced a gleaming stone from thin air, found it shining in the woods. Thought you'd like it. Ash took it, pulse racing. A Keystones. The ultra-rare catalyst for Mega Evolution, nearly mythical in Kanto. He whispered, a keystone. Gasps rippled through the room. Everyone crowded in, eyes wide with awe. Ash thanked Mew profusely, holding it aloft as cheers erupted anew. Professor Oak took his turn, announcing that he would present Ash with his special gift tomorrow, on the day Ash's journey truly began. The group then dove into lively discussions about Pokemon battles, rare species, and training tips, their laughter echoing through the house. Ash had long assisted Professor Oak in his free time between aura and psychic training sessions, forging a deep, mentor-like bond with the professor. Everyone savored the party for a few more hours, sharing stories and snacks, before bidding good night and heading home under the starry Kanto sky. Next morning birds chirped joyfully as the sun rose majestically between the distant mountains, its golden rays piercing through Ash's bedroom window and gently caressing his face, rousing him from sleep. Ash blinked awake, spotting shiny Mew curled contentedly on his chest. He softly nudged her, whispering, Time to train, Princess. We've got a big day ahead. For 2 intense hours in the backyard, Ash honed his aura manipulation and psychic abilities, weaving energy shields and telekinetic bursts, while Mew practiced her Pokemon moves with dazzling precision, psychic blasts and transform tricks lighting up the grass. Refreshed, they returned to the room so Ash could prepare. He slipped into the stylish outfit his mom had gifted him for his birthday. A sleek black jacket with red accents, jeans, and sturdy sneakers, mirroring his Kalo's look from Tales of Far-Off Adventures. Dressed and eager, Ash and his princess dashed to Professor Oak's lab, arriving precisely at 10 o'clock. Inside, young trainers buzzed with excitement, selecting their starter Pokemon to launch their journeys. Ash patiently waited in the corner, Mew hidden discreetly by his side. Once the others had claimed their partners and departed, only Gary lingered, grinning knowingly. Ash approached Professor Oak and Gary. Seeing him, they chorused, "Good morning, Ash." "Good morning, Professor Gary," Ash replied warmly. Gary's vibe was worlds apart from rivalries in old stories. He respected Ash's unmatched strength and saw him as the ultimate rival to chase at the Indigo League. Professor Oak handed Ash and Gary their Pokédexes, but the devices gleamed with an unusual design, sparking confusion. "Professor, these look different from the others," Ash noted. "Indeed," Oak beamed. "These are international Pokédexes, rare for Kanto trainers. They can scan any Pokémon across the world, from legendary beasts to hidden variants." Ash and Gary's eyes widened in awe. "Thank you, Professor. This changes everything." Ash then requested linking his portable Pokémon transporter machine, PPTM, to Oak's computer for seamless swaps. Oak obliged, tossed in extra Pokéballs, and added, "Oh, and take this rebellious Pikachu I caught 2 days ago. I think you two will click." With a flash, Oak released the electric mouse, who immediately locked eyes on Ash. Ash and Gary scanned it. Pikachu, the mouse Pokémon, electric type, evolves from Pichu. Male, ability: Volt Absorb, known moves: Thunder Wave, Thunder, quick attack. Egg move: Volt Tackle. Locked, Pikachu sparked with fury, unleashing a massive thunderbolt at the human intruder. But an invisible aura barrier shimmered to life before Ash, absorbing the blast harmlessly. Undeterred, Pikachu charged again, only to freeze as Ash's calm voice echoed in his mind. "Stop, Pikachu. I get that you're angry, but you can't zap every human for the sins of a few." Shocked, Pikachu stammered telepathically, "Who are you? How are you in my head?" "I'm Ash Ketchum, Grandmaster Aura Guardian of Rhoda and a trained psychic," Ash replied steadily, locking eyes. "I know humans hurt you, drove you out. But not everyone's like that." To prove it, Ash linked minds, sharing visions of his tender times with his dad's Pokémon and unbreakable trust with Mew. Seeing Mew's loyalty melted Pikachu's defenses. Not all trainers were monsters. After a thoughtful pause, Pikachu nodded firmly. "Hey, Ash. Can I join your journey?" "Sure, buddy, of course." Ash extended a hand, and Pikachu scampered to his shoulder. "Sparks now friendly," Professor Oak chuckled. "Knew you had the touch, Ash. Here's his Pokeball." Ash accepted it gratefully, then waved goodbye to Oak and Gary. "See you at the League." Back home, Ash packed his bag with essentials: Mew, Pikachu perched nearby, and 2 mysterious Pokemon eggs nestled safely inside, ready for his epic Pokemon journey. Downstairs, Delia and his dad waited with proud smiles. Ash enveloped them in a tight family hug, savoring the moment before the world called. Breaking apart, they showered him with wisdom. "Stay true to your heart," his dad advised. "Battles are won with bonds, not just power." Delia pressed a sleek Pokénav into his hands. "Latest model, with video calling. Mine and your dad's numbers are preloaded. Call anytime, okay?" Her eyes lit on the yellow fluff ball. Scooping Pikachu up, she cooed while petting him. "Is this your new partner, Ash?" "Yeah, Professor Oak gave him to me." Ash grinned. "Really?" Delia asked, cuddling the squirming Pikachu. Ash explained Pikachu's rough past. Chased from his home, collapsing weakened onto Oak's ranch. Professor caught him to heal, but the little guy thought he was the enemy and threw tantrums. He nodded at Pikachu, who blushed, rubbing his head sheepishly. "Pika, P." The family burst into laughter, the tension dissolving. After more heartfelt talks and tips, Ash, Mew, and Pikachu prepared to go. "Bye, Mom, Dad, Grandpa, Grandma. See you soon," Ash called, and Mew waved a tiny paw, Pikachu sparking a cheerful goodbye. With a bag slung over his shoulder, Ash stepped out, his Princess Mew at his side, loyal Pikachu on guard, and eggs promising new allies. His Pokemon journey had begun. On Route 1. It has been 3 hours since he left his home. Ash and his Pokemon were sitting in the shade of a big tree, taking a break for lunch. Ash was munching on some simple egg sandwiches, while Mew and Pikachu ate happily from a small pile of berries. After chatting with Pikachu for a bit, Ash realized Pikachu doesn't like Pokeballs at all, just like his Mew, and honestly, he didn't mind. If they wanted to stay out of their Pokeballs, that was fine by him. Once they finished eating, Ash trained with his Pokemon for a few hours. When they were done, they packed up and continued their journey along Route 1. Some time later, as Ash was walking with Pikachu and Mew at his side, he suddenly heard a girl scream for help. Without hesitation, he ran toward the sound, and saw a orange-haired girl with a side ponytail being attacked by an unusually large Gyarados, and the Gyarados was already firing a hyper beam. The girl squeezed her eyes shut, thinking, "So this is how I die." Ash's eyes widened. He didn't think, he just acted. Mew, use Protect to shield her. Pikachu, hit that Gyarados with Thunder. Yes, Daddy, Mew chimed. Pikachu cried sharply. Mew acted instantly and moved between the girl and the Gyarados, formed a transparent barrier. The powerful attack slammed into the shield and bounced away. At the same moment, Pikachu leapt into the air, electricity crackling around his body. A massive bolt of lightning crashed down on Gyarados once, then again in quick succession. The super effective hits were too much. With a roar, Gyarados collapsed and fainted. Ash quickly grabbed an empty Cherish Ball from his belt and threw it at the fallen Gyarados and instantly catching it. Hearing the sound of the Hyper Beam being deflected and the crash of Gyarados hitting the ground, the girl slowly opened her eyes, and saw a faint, glowing shield fading away in front of her, and standing in front of her was a shiny Mew. Her eyes went wide, she whispered, almost disbelieving, "Mew. But how?" She tried to piece together what had just happened, but then she heard a boy's voice calling out to her. She turned toward the sound and saw a black-haired boy in a cap walking over. "Hey, are you all right?" Ash asked. "Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you for protecting me," the orange-haired girl said. "No problem, it wasn't a big deal," Ash replied with a faint smile. "I'm Ash Ketchum from Pallet Town," he added, holding out his hand. Misty Waterflower from Cerulean City," she responded, taking his hand for a shake. As she let go, her eyes followed the Mew that had saved her. The mythical Pokemon happily floated over to Ash and settled on his other shoulder like it was the most natural thing in the world. Her jaw dropped. "Is this shiny Mew really yours?" Mew giggled, looking at Misty. "Daddy, she looks funny, he. Ash smiled at his little princess, then turned back to Misty. "Yeah, she's mine." Misty's eyes widened again. "But how?" she blurted out loudly. Ash repeated the story he'd made up with his parents. He told her that he'd found Mew's egg 7 years ago, when he was only 3, somewhere near a forest. He couldn't remember exactly where. About 4 years ago, the egg hatched, and Mew had been with him ever since. In reality, Ash's parents had never hidden the truth from him. They told him everything about Arceus gifts, but also warned him not to reveal his abilities carelessly. There are people who could do anything for those gifts, and could hurt anyone around him. That was why Ash used this cover story whenever someone asked about Mew. After listening, Misty crossed her arms and grumbled, "You're one lucky bastard, Ash. Most people won't even get to see a mythical Pokemon in their entire lives, and you actually have one." They continued to talk as they walked together. Ash mentioned that his next destination was Viridian City. When Misty heard that, she asked if she could come along with him. Ash glanced at her for a second, outwardly calm. He quietly reached out with his psychic powers, reading her surface thoughts to check for any bad intentions. When he sensed nothing bad, he nodded. "Sure, you can come with me," he answered. Misty smiled brightly. "Thanks for letting me join you," and with that, the two of them walked side by side to the road of life. Cough, the road to Viridian City. Line break. Just as Ash and Misty were about to reach the Viridian City gates, they noticed a large golden bird Pokemon flying high in the sky. Misty stopped in her tracks. "What is that?" Ash stared, stunned. He knew exactly what he was looking at. It was a golden Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh looked towards Ash, and the moment she saw him, she descended, landing on the path in front of Ash and Misty. Misty froze, her eyes widening in disbelief as Ho-Oh's massive. Her heart pounded. She'd heard the legends, but seeing one up close, it was like the world had tilted. "Ash. That's Ho-Oh," she whispered, voice trembling with awe and fear. Ash nodded, then his eyes softened, and he looked at Ho-Oh and smiled, then spoke through telepathy. "Good evening, old friend. Long time no see." Ho-Oh's gaze also gentle, and she answered in his mind, her voice calm and warm. "Good evening to you as well, Ash, and yes, it has been a long time." Flashback: Ash been wandering through a forest near his home when he stumbled across a large cave. From inside, he sensed a powerful aura. Being the curious child he was, he headed inside. Inside the cave, he found several different kinds of Pokemon resting and moving about, but what immediately drew his attention was a large, golden bird, about the size of a Pidgeot, lying on the ground with one wing badly damaged, a shiny Ho-Oh. Ash gasped and rushed over to her side and, using his healing powers to heal her as much as he could. After a while, the glow of his healing faded. He slumped back a little, tired but satisfied. He waited patiently for the bird to wake up. Eventually, the Ho-Oh stirred and slowly opened her eyes. She blinked at Ash, then telepathically spoke, thanking him for healing her. Hearing her voice in his mind, Ash found out that she's a female. "You don't have to thank me," he replied with a bright smile. "It's my duty, as a future Pokemon master, to help Pokemon in trouble." Ho-Oh was surprised by his innocent thoughts and his simple, honest desire to help others, but what shocked her even more was his tremendous amount of aura and psychic power. After composing herself, she talked with Ash for a while. As time passed, they became friends. She eventually decided to stay in that cave for a few more days before returning to her home, just so she could play with Ash a bit longer. In those few days, the young Ash and the golden Ho-Oh became best friends. As every good thing must end, Ho-Oh's time to go has come. She gave Ash a sad look, said goodbye, and flew home, but before disappearing into the clouds, she called back softly. "When you are stronger, I will give you a chance to catch me and make me your Pokemon." Ash's eyes shone green with excitement. He nodded seriously, and they said their final farewell. Flashback end. "So, you're here because of our promise?" Ash asked, his voice echoing in Ho-Oh's mind. "Yes," she replied telepathically, "but I won't make it easy for you." Ash smirked and nodded, then turned to Mew. "Get ready." Mew materialized, dropping into a fierce battle stance. He glanced at Misty, stepped to the sidelines. "This is between me and Ho-Oh." Misty's eyes widened at the legendary's name. "You're sure, Ash? That's a legendary Pokemon?" "I know," he said firmly, meeting her gaze. "It's an old promise. Don't worry, just move." Misty sighed. "You owe me an explanation later." With Pikachu at her heels, she retreated from the battlefield. "Battle begin. Go first, Ho-Oh," Ash said confidently. Ho-Oh unleashed Incinerate, a scorching blaze roaring toward Mew. "Protect," Ash countered. Mew's shimmering barrier deflected the flames harmlessly. Dragon Claw. Now, green claws erupted from Mew's paws, slashing Ho-Oh mid-recovery. The legendary reeled, scales scorched. Ho-Oh retaliated with Sacred Fire, a radiant inferno spiraling in. "Teleport," Ash yelled. Mew vanished at the last second, the holy blaze grazing her tail. "That was close." Ash exhaled. Poison Jab. Mew's tail stabbed Ho-Oh from back, venom coursing through her body, and she flinched in agony. Ho-Oh used Recover, and then Hyper Beam. Mew again used Teleport and dodged it. Surf. Then Electro Ball. Ash shouted. A massive wave crashed over the drenched legendary, exploiting her weakness. The electrified orb followed, arcing through the water, zapping Ho-Oh into unconsciousness. Ash hurled the Master Ball, it dinged once, twice and thrice, then stars burst out, showing a successful capture. Grinning, he scooped it up, flashing a victory pose. "We got Ho-Oh." "I got a new friend," Mew cheered, mimicking Ash's pose. They locked eyes and burst into laughter. "That was fun, Daddy. Let's do it again." Mew giggled, paws over her mouth. "Sure, Princess," Ash chuckled, ruffling her head. Ash took out his Pokédex and scanned Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh, a fiery bird Pokemon, fire and flying type. It is said that those who see Ho-Oh are promised eternal happiness. Legends claim this Pokemon flies the world's skies continuously on its magnificent 7-colored wings. This Pokemon is female and has the ability Pressure. By the looks of his different coloration, it is believed to be a shiny Pokemon. Attack known by this Pokemon: Brave Bird, Incinerate, Sacred Fire, Hyper Beam, Ancient Power, Gust, Recover, Sky Attack. Misty stood frozen in shock, but as she watched Ash and Mew playfully chasing each other through the grass, a soft smile tugged at her lips. "They actually look like father and daughter having fun," she whispered to herself. She stepped forward. "You actually caught him," Misty said, nodding toward Ho-Oh with wide eyes. "Yeah," Ash replied, grinning ear to ear. "If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I never would have believed it. Someone could actually caught a legendary Pokemon," Misty said, her voice laced with amusement. "All right. Now spill. Tell me the story behind this shiny Ho-Oh," she pressed, crossing her arms. Ash recounted it all. How he'd first met Ho-Oh as a wide-eyed kid, their instant connection, and the bond that led to her joining him. Misty's jaw dropped at the thought of a 5-year-old befriending such a majestic creature. She sighed, shaking her head. "You really are something, Ash, really something." "Yeah, I know," he mumbled sheepishly, rubbing the back of his neck. With that, Ash and Misty pressed on toward Viridian City. A while later, as our heroes approached the gleaming gates of Viridian City, a sharp voice cut through the air. "Stop right there." They turned to see Officer Jenny striding toward them, her expression stern. Mew, invisible to most eyes, stayed hidden from view. "Who are you, and what's with that Pikachu?" Jenny demanded, jabbing a finger at Ash. "He's my Pikachu," Ash shot back, eyes narrowing, "but he hates Pokeballs." "Oh. Okay," Jenny said, relaxing slightly. "Sorry about that. Lately, we've had a rash of Pokemon thieves. Had to be cautious. Can I see your IDs?" Ash flashed his Pokédex while Misty showed her gym leader badge. Jenny scanned them quickly, nodded, and waved them through. "Be careful out there. Thieves are everywhere. Stay safe," she called after them. "Will do," Ash replied over his shoulder. "So, what's the plan now, Ash?" Misty asked, falling into step beside him. "First, Pokemon Center to heal Gyarados and let others rest, then, register for the league, and after that, challenge the Viridian Gym," Ash said. He could have healed them himself, but his team deserved proper recovery after such a grueling day, and he could also register for league there anyway. "Sounds good," Misty agreed. "And you, what's your move?" Ash asked. "Same. Getting my Pokemon checked out," she replied. Ash nodded, and they set off toward the Pokemon Center, but moments later, they both froze, exchanging glances. "Do you know where the Pokemon Center is?" they blurted in unison. They sighed in unison too, shaking their heads. Then Ash snapped his fingers. "Wait, Mom gave me a Pokénav." He pulled it out, punched in the search, and soon enough, they were on track. Not long after, our heroes arrived at the Pokemon Center unscathed, the familiar red roof glowing warmly under the evening sky. They hurried inside and straight to our beloved Nurse Joy's desk. "Hello, Nurse Joy. Can you check my Pokemon?" Ash asked, holding out Gyarados' cherished ball. "Mine too, please," Misty added while also holding her Pokeballs. "Oh my, of course." Joy beamed. Gesturing to the trolley Chansey was pushing forward. Just place them here. Ash set down the Cherish Ball, Pikachu, and his 2 Pokemon eggs. Check the eggs too, if you can please. Chansey whisked everything away for examination. Hey, Ash, I didn't know you had 2 Pokemon eggs, Misty said, eyebrows raised. How would you? I never told you, Ash teased, smirking. Very funny. Ha ha ha. Misty deadpanned, shooting him a glare. Jokes aside, she leaned in. Seriously, how do you get Pokemon eggs? Close relatives gifted them, Ash said simply. Oh, Misty hummed thoughtfully, then headed outside in search of food. Ash claimed a quiet corner table, pulled out his Pokénav and dialed home. He chatted with his mom, Delia, filling her in on the wild first day. The unique Gyarados, the golden Ho-Oh, and his new travel companion, Misty. Delia blinked in shock but recalled Arceus's words, a proud smile spreading across her face. You're already on your way to fulfilling your destiny, my son, she thought. Then she beamed at the news of Ash making a friend. After a warm catch-up, Ash asked her to say hi to Dad, then they said goodbye. Suddenly, our hero heard the sound of a video call ringing from the center's computer. When Ash glanced around and saw no one nearby, he quickly answered the call, just in case it was an emergency, but the screen lit up with the back of Professor Oak's head. Hey, Professor, it's me, Ash said. Oh, Ash, did you already make it to Viridian City? Good, very good, that's what I expected from you, answered Professor, with recognition dawning on his face. Thank you, Professor, but I think you opened the wrong camera, I can only see your back. Professor Oak looked embarrassed and quickly switched the camera to show his face. The professor had the same reaction as Delia. Astonishment, amusement, then a loud laugh. Only you can do that kind of stuff, my boy, only you can. To think you actually caught a legendary Pokemon on the first day of your journey, he said, amusement lacing his voice. Ash joined in with Professor and laughed, looking sheepish. After that, Professor asked if he could study Ho-Oh later on. Ash agreed and said he would transport Ho-Oh after his gym battle with Viridian Gym. Professor already started imagining how many new discoveries he would uncover from Ho-Oh, smiling in excitement. After some talk with Ash, the professor suddenly remembered something and told him. Oh my, because of the legendary Pokemon, I almost forgot why I called, said Professor. What was it, Professor? Questioned Ash. Well, originally I was going to tell Joy to inform you to call me back later after you reached the Pokemon Center. But since you're already here, I'll tell you, answered Professor. Well, because of your position as a Grandmaster of Aura Guardians, the League has given you special permission to carry 12 Pokemon. Ash was surprised but then realized it made sense, smiled, thanked Professor for his efforts, then asked if there was anything else. Professor replied in the negative, then they bid farewell, and hung up the call. After hanging up, Ash was happy because from now on he could carry 6 more Pokemon, and when he caught them in the future, he would train more of them together with him. When Ash was thinking about this, he heard his and Misty's names called from the counter, signaling them to collect their Pokeballs. Just then, Ash saw Misty walking back inside. Misty spotted Ash too, and they went together to the main counter, collecting the Pokeballs of their Pokemon, or in Ash's case, his Cherish Ball, Pokemon, and Pokemon eggs, then stowing them in their respective places. After Ash put his Pokemon eggs in his bag, he asked Nurse Joy to register him for the Indigo League. Nurse Joy did just that and registered Ash for the league. Congratulations, Ash Ketchum, you are now eligible for taking the gym challenges for the Indigo League, announced Nurse Joy. Afterward, Ash asked Nurse Joy for a training area where he could train with his Pokemon. Nurse Joy gave him directions and bid farewell. Ash thanked Nurse Joy and headed out to train, but before walking away, he informed Misty of his plan to train with his Pokemon for 2 weeks, then challenge Viridian Gym. Misty nodded and asked Nurse Joy for a room. After that, Ash left. He rarely showed his face to anyone for the 2 straight weeks. He trained with his new Pokemons, Pikachu, Gyarados, and Ho-Oh, instructing Mew to teach Pikachu some of her moves like Iron Tail and Protect, while he worked with his other 2 Pokemon on the side. But before starting, he scanned his Gyarados to familiarize himself with his moveset. Gyarados, water-flying type Pokemon, the evolved form of Magikarp. Gyarados is a serpentine dragon-like Pokemon with an extremely aggressive nature. The Hyper Beam it shoots from its mouth totally incinerates all targets. Once it begins to rampage, it burns everything down, even in a harsh storm. Once Gyarados appears, its rage never settles until it has razed the fields and mountains around it. This Gyarados is male and has the ability Intimidate, attacks known by this Pokemon: Hyper Beam, Water Gun, Crunch, Bite, Dragon Breath, Dragon Tail, Outrage. This Gyarados also has the egg move Dragon Pulse, but it is locked. "Wow, Gyarados, you are already this strong," said Ash in surprise. "Of course I am. I have trained all my life," proudly answered Gyarados. Ash looked at Gyarados with amusement, then suddenly remembered and asked, "Oh yeah, I wanted to ask, why did you attack Misty?" asked Ash. "Well, she was annoying, complaining about her sisters all day long on the riverside. At last I couldn't take it, and attacked her to make her stop. And yeah, I wasn't the only one. There was a Tentacruel and a Cloyster, but they ran after seeing me attack," answered Gyarados. Ash's sweat dropped. "Is she really that annoying?" asked Ash. Gyarados nodded. Ash sighed and started training Ho-Oh and Gyarados. 1 week and 6 days later we see our hero Ash finishing his training with his Pokemon. After Ash finished, a Pokemon came running to him and said, "Papa, look, Big Sis Mew taught this to me," said a blue canine Pokemon, showing off its tail, which shimmered silver. "Wow. Riolu, you learned Iron Tail already. You really learn fast, huh buddy?" praised Ash, while patting Riolu's head. As we looked at that Riolu, we could notice something different about him. He didn't look like a normal one but more like his mega-evolved form, only smaller, and his aura was much more potent than any others. Flashback. 6 days ago when Ash was training to control his calming-type aura that could soothe rampaging Pokemon, he accidentally mixed his psychic power with his aura. Suddenly his bag started glowing. He looked inside and saw his blue egg glowing. He took the incubator carrying the glowing egg out from the bag, then took the egg from the incubator and waited with his Pokemon by his side for it to hatch. When the egg hatched, a blue canine Pokemon emerged. Ash looked at the Pokemon in confusion because it was indeed a Riolu, but different. Yellow hair on his chest, red paws and feet. His aura more potent than his evolved form, and Ash could feel psychic power emanating from him. So Ash took out his Pokédex and scanned him. Riolu, the emanation Pokemon, a fighting type. Riolu can understand how people and Pokemon feel by using his aura. It has a flexible body with enough power to cross 3 mountains and 2 canyons in one night, because of some unknown mutation. This Riolu also possesses psychic powers. This Riolu is male and has the ability Inner Focus. He also has the hidden ability Prankster. Attacks known by this Pokemon: Quick Attack, Force Palm, Metal Claw, Confusion, Size Strike. This Pokemon also has the egg move Flash Cannon. This move is locked. "He really has psychic powers," said Ash in astonishment. But Ash stopped thinking when he saw the unique Riolu opening his eyes. Riolu saw Ash and instantly formed a connection and called him Papa. Ash nodded and ruffled his head. Then he introduced him other Pokemons and caught him in a Cherish Ball, then went to Pokemon Center for getting him a full health checkup and let his other Pokemons get some rest. Present time. After a full day of training, Ash went to the Pokemon Center where he saw Misty waiting for him. He went with her to Nurse Joy and left his Pokemon to her and went with Misty to eat. Later, when Ash went to collect his Pokemon, he got the news that Giovanni, the gym leader of Viridian Gym, is unavailable right now. But he will be back in a month or so. Hearing that, Ash was disappointed, but still collected his Pokemon and went to Misty. He told her that he will be leaving for Pewter City since Viridian Gym is unavailable right now. Misty nodded and walked with Ash to the exit. In the last 2 weeks Misty had decided to travel with Ash because she doesn't want the same thing happen to her like last time with Gyarados, and she feels safe around him. So she asked him about this and he agreed well because why not? Ash and Misty was about to leave the Pokemon Center when suddenly the roof of the Pokemon Center exploded. 3 figures landed and started monologuing. Prepare for trouble, and make it double. To protect the world from devastation. To unite all peoples within our nation. To denounce the evils of truth and love. To extend our reach to the stars above. Jesse. James. Team Rockets blast off at the speed of light. Surrender now or prepared to fight. Meowth. Yeah, that's right. Give us all of the rare Pokemon you have, Jesse demanded to Nurse Joy. Or you won't like the consequences, continued James. Yeah, Meowth said while showing his claws. Everyone was surprised to see a talking Meowth, but they broke from the surprise when they saw the Team Rocket were ready to attack and rob the center's Pokemon. They had even released their Pokemon Ekans and Coughing, but only with Pikachu's thunder, it sent them flying off, from where they had came. Nurse Joy profusely thanked Ash and Pikachu, then sent them off with a goodbye. Ash and team left the Viridian City and hit the road for Pewter City. 4 hours on the road, Ash and Misty were inside the Viridian Forest. Misty was walking while hiding behind Ash. Well, because she is afraid of bug Pokemons and the forest is filled with that. On his way Ash had caught a Caterpie who was overly infatuated with Misty and a Pidgeotto. Had a quick battle with a samurai guy which helped his Caterpie to evolve into the Metapod and continued his journey. As our heroes were closer to leave the forest suddenly, they heard a blast from somewhere deeper inside the forest. Ash and Misty rushed to the sound and found the Team Rocket grunts and their unknown commander were attacking a Pokemon with bazookas and tanks. It was green dinosaur-like Pokemon. It was a mother Tyranitar who was protecting her egg. Ash hurriedly ordered his Mew to protect the Tyranitar and Pikachu, Ho-Oh and Gyarados to use their most powerful attacks to stop the bad guys from attacking. Mew teleported to the dinosaur Pokemon and used Protect to shield her, then Pikachu used Thunder. Ho-Oh and Gyarados used Hyper Beam and destroyed the Team Rocket fleet. Ash then ran to the Tyranitar who was on her last breath. Ash tried to heal her with no avail. The Tyranitar weakly thanked Ash for saving her and slowly pushed her egg to him and said, "You are a good soul boy. Please take good care of this little one for me," saying that she took her last breath and died. Greaves, Steck and Ash looked at the Team Rocket commander and grunted with anger, but he controlled himself and told Misty to call Officer Jenny, who came quickly and arrested the bad guys and gave Ash and Misty the bounty on those guys' head. Then Officer Jenny helped Ash and Misty and gave the mother Tyranitar a proper burial, and then Ash placed the egg inside his bag and hit the road again. Ash was low after seeing Tyranitar's death. Misty and his Pokemon consoled him for a while. Ash gradually became his previous self and walked to the Pewter City gate. There they showed their IDs and passed the gate and went to Pokemon Center. There Ash took a room and rested for a while and left his Pokemons and eggs to our beloved Nurse Joy and went to sleep. Misty did the same and hit the bed and quickly fall asleep. The next day Ash collected his Pokemon and the Pokemon eggs with Misty and went to challenge the Pewter Gym. In front of Pewter Gym, Ash was about to enter the gym but was stopped by a homeless-looking guy. He told them while pointing at Pikachu beside Ash that Ash couldn't beat Brock with his puny Pikachu. Ash sighed and simply used his psychic powers and moved the homeless guy from in front of him and walked inside. Misty was surprised to see Ash use a psychic power since it was her first time seeing him use that. Misty asked and Ash told her that he had inherited psychic and aura powers from his parents who were a psychic and an aura guardian. Misty was surprised, but she has heard about the psychic user and aura guardian, so it didn't took her long to digest it and she went with Ash inside the gym. Inside, Ash paid 500 Pokecoins fee to the gym receptionist for challenging the gym. He then went ahead and challenged Brock, which he easily won with his Pikachu's Iron Tail, which knocked both of Brock's Geodude and Onix in just 2 strikes each, and he then collected the Boulder Badge and the price of 2,000 Pokecoins from Brock. Well, Pikachu had trained with Mew for long, so it's logical to make him stronger, and honestly Brock, Geodude and Onix were not strong in the beginning. Well, since Brock mostly used them to battle newbie trainers. Yeah, they gradually became stronger while traveling, but it was later in the series. And yeah, trainers will get money from winning a battle and will also lose money after losing it, just like in the games. Yeah, I am just gonna make this story like that. Have a problem, huh? Now then, let's continue. Seeing Ash's bond with his Pokemon, Brock wanted to travel with him and realize his dream, but was shackled with the thought of taking care of his siblings. Seeing Brock's constipated look, Ash read his surface thoughts and found out why, and also remember the homeless guy outside who looked just like Brock, just older, and that same man was peeking on the battle from a nearby window. Ash also read that guy's thoughts and found out that he is Brock's runaway father, Flint. Ash used his psychic powers and levitated him inside and took his fake beard and hat out. When Brock saw him, he instantly recognized him. He and his siblings had an emotional reunion with their dad. Then Flint told Brock to go and realize his dreams and leave the house to him. Brock did just that. He took out the list of preferences and bad habits of his siblings and gave it to Flint. Flint was shocked to see a total turnaround of his son, but still smiled. He understood that Brock has sacrificed too many things for the family, and now it's his turn to do just that and let his eldest son travel and found his dreams. Brock packed his bag, said goodbyes to his siblings and dad, then walked to Ash and Misty, and asked if he could join in with them. Ash nodded in confirmation while Misty welcomed him with open arms, and Brock walked along with them and left the Pewter City side by side. A day later, we see our heroes walking through the Mount Moon Road when suddenly a panicked Clefairy run into them. When she saw our heroes, she cried for help. She asked them to save other Clefairies from a blue-haired man, red-haired women, and a talking Meowth, and since Ash is the only one who can understand Pokemon, he translated for others. Upon hearing the description, Ash and Misty instantly realized who Clefairy was talking about and ran with her to the cave. Brock followed them from behind in confusion. Misty saw his confusion and filled in for him about the Team Rocket. Upon hearing that, Brock also got furious and ran with the same intensity as them. When they reached the cave, they saw Jessie and Meowth were catching all the Clefairies in a net while James was mining the big moonstone, and on the side there was a man tied in a ropes. Ash instantly made a move and told his Pikachu to use Iron Tail and separate Team Rocket from Clefairies, and that hostage then use Thunder to beat them up. Pikachu did as that. Jessie, James and Meowth were confused on what just happened. One moment they were looting the Mount Moon Cave, and another they were hit by an Iron Tail and a Thunder. But then they saw Ash and Pikachu and understood everything. But before they could do anything, they got hit by another Thunder and were sent flying off. They cursed our hero and delivers the same flying off again line and swear to catch that Pikachu one day. After saving the Clefairies and that hostage, our heroes found out that it was a researcher named Seymour who does research on Clefairies and moonstones, and he was here to do the same but was captured by the Team Rocket. And when he was still talking, our heroes and Professor saw Clefairies suddenly started dancing around the big moonstone, and one by one they started to evolve into Clefable. It was a mesmerizing scene, but as they were enjoying, Ash suddenly heard a cry of help, and when he focused, he noticed it was coming from beneath the moonstone. Ash instantly became alert, and after getting the permission of the Clefables, Ash and Mew together used their psychic power and lifted the moonstone aside and saw a big emerald egg-shaped gem beneath it. Seeing a shiny Mew appear in front of him, Seymour was astonished. He had never seen a Mew, and a shiny one at that. He was so shocked that he wasn't able to utter a word. Brock was also mesmerized but wasn't surprised anymore because he had already experienced it all this afternoon. At first he was surprised, but later he got used to it. He also know about Ho-Oh, just haven't got the chance to meet her. Seeing the gem inside the crater, Ash went down and touched the egg-shaped gem, and upon Ash's touch it absorbed some of his psychic energy and started to glow. Light blinded everyone, and a moment later, when the light subsided, in place of the gem stood a red humanoid alien Pokemon, Deoxys. Deoxys stared at Ash for a while, then he levitated towards him and thanked Ash for saving him. After that, Ash and team talked with Deoxys for a while, and Deoxys told them that since he has just awakened and doesn't know about this world and he didn't know where to go. Seeing him confused, Ash offered him to come along with him. He also told him what will they do in their journey. Deoxys was interested upon hearing that, and after being freed by Ash after so long, Deoxys had started to trust him, and upon sensing Ash's powerful aura and psychic energy, he knew that Ash was capable, so he nodded and agreed to go along with him. Ash nodded as well and took out an Ultra Ball and caught Deoxys in it without a hitch. Misty, Brock and Professor congratulated Ash for adding a new Pokemon in his team. After that, Ash and team left Mount Moon and continued their journey, while Seymour stayed with Clefable for his research. Next day, Ash and the team were walking to the Cerulean City Gate. On the checkpost they showed the IDs and went through. But then suddenly Misty told Ash and Brock that she had something to do, so she won't be able to accompany them to the Cerulean Gym and she will wait for them to the exit of the city. After saying that, she ran away. Seeing Misty's hilarious escape, Ash smirked. Brock didn't notice anything unusual and went to do shopping for the afternoon lunch, and Ash went to challenge the Cerulean Gym, but when he went there, he saw an ongoing water ballet show, so instead of waiting for them to finish their show, he went to the nearest training field and trained with his Pokemon. Ash told Ho-Oh to teach Mew Recover, and he instructed Gyarados and Pikachu on learning Thunderbolt, while he also instructed Pidgeotto on how to use Agility and told Metapod to use Harden repeatedly and tackle some of Pidgeotto's minor attacks. He then scanned Deoxys to train him accordingly. Deoxys, the DNA Pokemon, Psychic type. The DNA of a space virus underwent a sudden mutation upon exposure to a laser beam and resulted in Deoxys. The crystalline organ on this Pokemon chest appears to be its brain. This Pokemon has 4 forms: normal, attack, defense and speed form, and its attack, defense, speed power changes according to the form it is on at the time. This Pokemon is female and had the ability Pressure, attack known by this Pokemon, Leer, Warp, Nightshade, Teleport, Psyshock, Psychic, Zen Headbutt, Recover, Agility. I know Deoxys is genderless, but I am giving it 1, so bear with it, okay? After seeing Deoxys' moveset, Ash was surprised and praised Deoxys for it. Then he instructed her on learning Psycho Boost and also instructed his Riolu on learning Psychic. They did as they were instructed and soon results started to show. Pikachu's Thunder attack become more accurate, gradually started to turn into Thunderbolt. Gyarados started to show some sparks and Mew started to emit green glow on her body. Pidgeotto's moves become more faster. Deoxys was halfway through with Psycho Boost, while Riolu showed some sign of learning Psychic. What was more surprising was that after taking some minor attacks from Pidgeotto, the Metapod evolved into Butterfree. It was a welcome surprise. Everyone gathered to watch this astonishing phenomena of evolution, and after the evolution ended, everyone congratulated Butterfree, and after Ash's other Pokemons witnessed the evolution, they started their training with more vigor, vowing to get stronger. After some time they finished their training. Everyone showed some improvement. Some showed more, some less, but what's important is everyone gave their all. But as the time for the water ballet show ending has come, Ash packed up his thing, was about to leave the training area, but suddenly his bag started to glow, and when he looked inside he saw his brown Pokemon egg was glowing. He took out the egg and holded it on his lap. Mew and Pikachu came closer while his other Pokemons also came out of their Pokeballs and watched the phenomena with quite attention. The egg glow suddenly became stronger, and then in place of him, levitated a white Beldum. Ash introduced himself to the baby Beldum. His Pokemon also did the same. Then he caught the Pokemon in a Cherish Ball and left the area to challenge the gym. Sometime later Ash was in front of the Cerulean sisters. Disappointed, they just rejected Ash for the gym match. Instead they insist on just give him the badge. Ash was angry and told them that he will complain to the League Association, but they didn't care. He sighed and was about to leave, but the Misties suddenly ran in front of Ash and told him her real identity, which our boy knew from the start. Then she accepted the challenge on behalf of her sisters. Ash nodded and had a match with her, which again he won with no effort. Misty's Staryu faced Ash's Gyarados, which Gyarados won easily with some crunch and a powerful outrage. Then came Starmie, who faced defeat from Pikachu, who didn't show any mercy and loaded one after another thunder at her, making her unconscious. Ash won the Cascade badge and total of 1,500 Pokédollars after minusing the 500 gym challenging fee he paid. Ash then left the gym with Pikachu and Mew while Misty stayed for some talk with her sisters, which Ash was not interested at all. He went to the Pokemon Center to find a lodging. When Ash went inside the center, He ran into the scene of Brock proposing to Nurse Joy. Ash sighed and acted as if he didn't know him at all and walked to find a chair to sit and relax. A while later Misty also walked in and saw the same thing but didn't hesitate. She walked to Brock and pulled his ears and apologized to Nurse Joy and walked away with him to Ash. After that they found a room and settled down. Next day, Ash woke up early and trained with his Pokemons, and later after the training Ash went to the Pokemon Center where he packed up and left the Cerulean City with Brock and Misty. A few hours later when our heroes were walking towards the Vermilion City through the forest, they heard about a guy named Ujjwal, who was running an unofficial gym. His goal was to reach 100 wins and then compete for gym leader badges. Ash crashed into his gym and challenged him for a gym battle, where Ujjwal's Sandshrew lose very badly to Ash's Pikachu and faced his first defeat on Ash's hand after the 98-win streak. Now many of you guys will think, how can a ground type lose to an electric type? Well, it's simple, because I am making Pikachu too OP, and no one can stop me. Ha 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 ha. Well, jokes aside, Pikachu is more powerful from his counterpart in the series, and more importantly Ash is a competent trainer here. And yeah, it was a jab to Ash from the series. Anyway, after Ash won against Ujjwal, the trio again hit the road for the Vermilion City. On their way they met a guy named Joe who was a student at Pokemon Tech, a school where students learn about the things which our heroes are doing, training Pokemons, gym challenges and the league. Our heroes helped Joe with some bullies. Then Joe invited them to the school, where Ash had a battle with a girl named Giselle who was the heartthrob and also a rising student of the school. She lost to Ash's Riolu hilariously and learned about some humility. Our heroes then left the school and hit the road again. On their way Ash and team came across a Bulbasaur who was protecting a Pokemon village with a girl named Melanie in the middle of the forest. And when Brock saw the beautiful girl he instantly proposed to her, but Bulbasaur used his Vine Whip and knocked Brock away in annoyance. But when the Team Rocket attacked the village to rob the Pokemons, Ash and team protected the village with Bulbasaur and sent the Team Rocket flying off again. And after spending some time together Bulbasaur decided to join Ash in his journey and had a battle with Ash's Pikachu, which he lost instantly and got caught by Ash in a Cherish Ball. A wild Poliwag and Rhyhorn also decided to join Misty and Brock. Then they left the Pokemon village and hit the road again. Sometime later on a cloudy night on their way, Ash and team spotted a shiny Charmander waiting faithfully on a boulder, clearly abandoned. They couldn't convince him to leave, but with heavy rain looming around, Ash persuaded him to shelter at the Pokemon Center. Inside the center, Charmander heard his trainer's voice and rushed to him, but halfway through he heard his trainer boasting about how the Charmander was too weak and couldn't even win a single battle, so he fooled him and left him in the forest. Charmander was devastated upon hearing that and lowered his head in sadness, but Ash was furious and couldn't stop himself from punching that guy. Then he tied him and called Officer Jenny, who came after the rain slowed down and arrested Damien, Charmander's old trainer, for harassing Pokemon. Upon seeing Charmander's downcast look from Damien's words, Ash told him that Pokemon are not weak but trainers are. Then he asked him to come along with him and he will make him strongest of his species there ever was. Seeing Ash's confident look, Charmander also hyped up and decided to join Ash. The next day the trio left the Pokemon Center and hit the road for Vermilion City again. Later on the same day our heroes had just crossed an unknown town when they saw 5 Squirtles. One of them was down, and other 4 were shielding him from some Team Rocket grunt. Ash rushed forward and protected them. Then he defeated the grunts and called Officer Jenny, who later came then arrested the grunts. Ash healed the injured Squirtle and found out about the past of all the Squirtles, how their trainers left them and how they became the troublemakers of the town. After that the Squirtle which Ash healed walked to Ash and asked to join him, which Ash agreed instantly, while Misty asked other Squirtles if they wants to come along with her. They were hesitant, but then Misty whispered to them about her water gym with big pools and about her sisters who does water ballet show every now and then. The Squirtles' eyes shined and they agreed instantly. 2 days later Ash team finally reached the Vermilion City. They went to Pokemon Center, check into room and went to sleep while leaving their Pokemon to Nurse Joy. Next day Misty and Brock joined Ash and went to a training ground and trained their Pokemon with him. Ash instructed his Pokemon to continue their training from where they left in the Cerulean City, while he also gave some advice to Misty and Brock about moves they should teach their Pokemon. After that, Brock helped in grooming all the Pokemons while Misty just helped along. After finishing their training, they went to Nurse Joy to heal their Pokemons, and sometime later, when our heroes were waiting for their Pokemons, a boy rushed in carrying a Rattata who was gravely injured. Seeing this, Ash walked to the trainer who just gave his Pokemon to Nurse Joy and asked about it. The trainer told Ash about the gym leader of the Vermilion City, Lieutenant Surge, and how cruel he is and what he does to new trainers. Upon hearing that, Ash got angry, and after getting his Pokemon, he, Misty and Brock rushed to the Vermilion gym. There Ash challenged the gym leader. Lieutenant Surge and his crew laughed at Ash and belittled him. But when Ash crushed Surge's Raichu with his Pikachu, only with agility and iron tails, everyone on Surge's side went silent and looked at Ash in shock. Even Surge was looking at his Raichu with bulging eyes. He was questioning the reality, but then Ash explained that Raichu is powerful but too slow to catch Pikachu off guard. He was evolved too quickly and Surge didn't even give him time to learn some fast moves which he could only learn as Pikachu. Upon hearing Ash's explanation, Surge understood and thanked Ash for the explanation. Then he apologized to Ash for his previous behavior. Then he handed the Thunder Badge to Ash with the promised 2,000 Pokédollar. After that, Ash and team left the Vermilion gym and went to the Pokemon Center and rested for a day, and the next day they left the city. Ash and team were walking to the port. Their destination was SSN. Misty and Brock were surprised when they heard Ash's mom owns the SSN cruise ship and they were going to get a free boarding because of that. When they reached the port, the crew members of the ship noticed Ash and ran to welcome him, then took him and team to show them their room. They got a luxury suite to stay and relax. Our heroes stayed and relaxed on this cruise ship for a week. They met new trainers and some matches with others and enjoyed the cuisine of the ship. They also got a private training area where they can train their Pokemon freely. Ash also participated in the tournament hosted on the ship and won with only his Pikachu, Riolu and Butterfree. He got a brown Pokemon egg with some evolutionary stones and 20,000 Pokédollar as the price for winning the tournament. Ash and the team were enjoying themselves when suddenly everyone started to feel tremors on the ship, and after some time they heard the sound of the thunder and the ship started to shake violently. Everyone started to panic, but then they had the announcement on the speaker that due to the sudden heavy weather change, ship was feeling some tremors, but then suddenly they heard a booming sound and announcement changed that a powerful thunder strike just hit the front of the ship and they need to run to the emergency boats as fast as possible and evacuate the ship. Everyone started to panic, but the booming voice silenced everyone. It was Ash. He calmed the crowd and then started evacuating everyone through the emergency boat. One by one everyone got on the emergency boats and evacuated with their Pokeballs on hand. After everyone evacuated, Ash, seeing no boats for them, released his Gyarados, who easily carried him, Misty and Brock with their bags, and rushed to the nearest town, Porta Vista. Our heroes just reached the Porta Vista town, which was being attacked by a group of tentacles with their Dynamaxed leader Tentacruel. Ash, being Ash, jumped in the chaos and stopped them, and after communicating with them, he found out that Nastina and Idiot Team Rocket destroyed their home to make resorts and wanted to kill all of them, and Tentacles were here to seek revenge. After hearing everything, Ash called Officer Jenny and explained everything to her. And later, with her careful investigation, she collected evidences and arrested Nastina for illegally destroying a Pokemon habitat. But Team Rocket were nowhere to be found. At the same time, the chemicals' effects on the giant Tentacruel faded and he reverted to his normal size and left with his group back into the sea. But before they left, Misty convinced one of the tentacles to join her. She also caught a horsey later on the beach of Porta Vista, and after a day of rest our heroes left the town. Sorry guys, but I am still going to skip the Ghost of Maiden's Peak episode. I still don't know why writer Takeshi Shudo even made that episode. I think it was just an filler episode, which was made to make the season longer, with none to no effect on the storyline, so I am not going to put my effort on this shit. Now let's continue. Ash and team were walking through a valley when they found out about a mating festival for Butterfrees, where Butterfrees can find partners for themselves. Ash, upon learning about that, also took his Butterfree there, who founded his match on a pink Butterfree who fall in love with him after he saved her from Team Rocket, who wanted to catch all the Butterfrees in the valley. And now Butterfree was leaving Ash to start a new chapter of his life. Ash supported him wholeheartedly and said his final farewell. After a tearful goodbye, Butterfree left the mountain valley with his partner. Ash also left with Misty and Brock while remembering the happy moments he had with his Butterfree and continued his journey. After a day of continuous walking, Ash and team finally reached the Lavender Town. Here Ash caught his first ghost type. It's a Gengar, but no normal one. His color was darker and he was much bigger than a normal one. And his power was comparable to Ash's mutant Gyarados. It took a lot from Ash to catch that Gengar because of his mischief nature, but right after being defeated by Mew, the Gengar became obedient toward Ash and happily joined him. Then Ash stayed in Lavender Town for a while and trained with his Pokemons for the upcoming 4th gym match. He specially trained his Pikachu and Gengar since he was going to use them against Sabrina. After a week of training, Ash and team left the Lavender Town and hit the road for Saffron City. Upon reaching Saffron City, Ash reunited with his cousin Sabrina, the gym leader of the Psychic Gym, and met an old friend. She was his first friend and partner in psychic training of 4 years. It was Serena. She had left for her home in Kalos for a month ago to get her Pokemon license. And surprisingly, she was here. Serena and Ash had a warm reunion, and Serena told Ash that she was here to join Ash on his journey and travel with him to find out on what she want to do. Ash agreed without a hitch and introduced Misty, Brock and Pikachu to her, while Mew popped out and greeted Serena with a giggle. Serena did the same and also released her Fennekin and introduced her to everyone. Then she remembered something and took out a Pokeball and handed it to Ash, saying that it was a gift from Professor Sycamore. Ash had traveled to Kalos few times with his parents and met Professor Sycamore there and helped him with research on Pokemon bonds, so he knew Sycamore quite well, and he knew which Pokemon it was. Since last time he was in Kalos, Ash befriended untamed Pokemon in Sycamore's lab, and it was a Froakie who doesn't listen to anyone else other than Ash. That's why Professor promised to give him to Ash when he gets his Pokemon license. After taking the Sycamore's gift from Serena, he also got a Mega Stone of a Metagross from her as his late birthday gift from her and her mom. Ash took the gift, then he and Serena caught up with each other and Sabrina. Then Ash showed Beldum to Sabrina, who hatched from the egg she gifted Ash, and after some time Ash challenged Sabrina for the badge, which Sabrina agreed with smirk and told him that since it was his 4th badge it will be 3-on-3 Pokemon match. First to win 2 matches will win. Ash nodded and the battle began. Ash used his Pikachu first against Sabrina's Espeon. They had a fierce battle. Ash Pikachu used Thunderbolt, which he mastered recently with Iron Tail one after another while dodging Espeon's psychic moves. And at the end Espeon got caught up in one of Pikachu's thunder attack, and with his final full power Thunderbolt, Espeon lost the battle. Then Ash used his Gengar against Sabrina's Alakazam. They also had a fierce battle, and after a long while Alakazam lost to Gengar after some Hex and Shadow Ball. Sabrina sighed and returned him and congratulated Ash, and gave him his 4th badge, the Marsh badge, with 3,000 Pokédollars. After that Sabrina offered our heroes lodging at her place for tonight, so she could spend some time with Ash and Serena. Everyone accepted her offer and stayed at her place. At night Ash released Froakie and had friendly reunion with him, then catched him again in his Cherish Ball, which registered Froakie as his Pokemon. But then the Cherish Ball vanished to Professor Oak lab. Since he already has 12 Pokemon on hand, Ash took out his PPTM and then transfer Ho-Oh to Professor's lab, which he promised to Professor a while ago but forgot to do. Then got the Froakie Cherish Ball back and called Professor to inform him, then went to sleep. Next day Serena joined our heroes and said farewells to Sabrina and left the Saffron City and walked on Route 7 for Celadon City. Ash won't be catching Primeape since he already has a powerful Riolu, and I don't think Primeape fits in Ash's current team much or suits Brock or Serena's personality. While with Misty I will say only one thing. You cannot put two bulls into one crawl. So our heroes will not met Mankey and he goes to someone else we won't know. Now let's continue. In the Celadon City, Ash won his 5th badge against the grass-type gym leader Erica. Her Tangela and Gloom lost to Ash's shiny Charmander's improved flamethrower and Bulbasaur's solar beam, which Bulbasaur recently learned from Mew. And upon getting his rainbow badge and 3,500 Pokédollars, Ash and team left the Celadon City after Misty's and Serena's tremendous shopping. In Hop 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 Town, our heroes helped Officer Jenny find missing children who were accidentally being hypnotized by a drowsy in a skyscraper, making them act like Pokemon. Using Ash's and Serena's psychic powers, they broke the spell, reunited the kids with their families, and as they left, Misty accidentally caught a Psyduck. On their way, Brock took the group to Scissor Street to meet his idol, Susie, the famous Pokemon breeder, with her shy Vulpix. She shared breeding and grooming tips, then taught them Pokemon massage, and our heroes helped in advertising her style. Team Rocket also opened a salon nearby and disguised as groomers robbed trainers from their Pokemon. Misty also went there to groom her Pokemon, but upon spotting her, Team Rocket kidnapped her because of their past grievances, but Psyduck burst free and ran to fetch Ash. Upon learning about Misty, Ash rushed in with Pikachu and with a thunderbolt sent them blasting off. Then Ash called Officer Jenny, who helped in returning all the stolen Pokemon. Then they went to Susie's salon where Serena and Brock were. Susie, upon noticing her Vulpix being attached to Brock after just some time, she decided to leave her Vulpix to his care and told him to take good care of her. Brock nodded and took the Vulpix, who instantly nuzzled to Brock. He then caught her in a Pokeball, and then our heroes hit the road for Fuchsia City. Later, Ash and team meet a trainer named Anthony with his Hitmonlee, whose daughter was convincing him to stop traveling so much and come home with her. But that guy didn't listen to her and ran away, and seeing a girl in distress, Brock promised her that he will make her dad go home, then convinced Ash to enter the P1 Grand Prix since it's only fighting type tournament and defeat that Anthony guy. Ash sighed, then nodded and enter the tournament with his Riolu and swipe the floor with all the other participants. In the finals he beat the Anthony's Hitmonlee with ease, which shocked Anthony, who after that crushing defeat decided to take a break and go home with his daughter. Ash, for winning the championship, got a 10,000 Pokédollars, while Riolu got a championship belt which he buckled it on his waist happily, while Brock got nothing for helping a damsel in distress. After that our heroes hit the road again. A few days later the group arrives in Gringy City, the most polluted city of Kanto. And suddenly Pikachu catched a Pokemon cold. Ash easily cured him with his healing powers. But when they reached the Pokemon Center for rest, suddenly a power outage happened which started to affect the injured Pokemons. Seeing that, Ash and team decided to help and went to the power plant and found a group of Grimer and a Mug were the cause for the power outage. So after defeating the Grimers and Mug, the plant again started to operate normally and power came back. And instead of leaving the poison Pokemon there, Ash and team transported them to their natural habitat far from the city, while Ash decided to catch the Mug, who was too clingy to Ash, and upon catching him the Cherish Ball vanished to Professor Oak's lab. Ash hurriedly called Professor to warn him, but it was too late. Professor had already released the Mug and was being smothered by him on the video call. Ash cut the call and silently prayed for Professor, then left the power plant with his friends. On their way, Ash got a call from Gary on a mountain near him. So Ash went there and saw many Pokeballs on the ground and Diglets who were returning those Pokeball to their trainers. Then Ash saw Gary, who told him the full story of how the Diglets were stopping the construction of the dam and how their Pokemon refused to come out of their Pokeballs. Understanding the situation, Ash walked to the Diglets and talked with them and found out about the Diglet garden near the dam construction, which was made by the Diglets upon the years of work, and if the dam is made the whole garden will be ruined. Ash nodded and told everything to the construction manager, who, not believing it, went to that area and saw many Diglets and Dugtrios still working on the garden with some other wild Pokemons. The manager sighed and banned the construction there for forever. Then he gifted our heroes with 2 days and night spa resort pass for helping him, and our heroes, especially the girls, excitedly went there. Deep inside the forest we see Jesse James, who were crying holding their Pokemons. This time they were defeated by a group of Diglets even before our heroes reached the mountain, and right now they were crying and questioning their choices, but then suddenly Ekans and Coughing started to glow, and after the glow subsided, in front of them stood two new Pokemons, Arbok and Weezing. Their Pokemon has evolved. Inside the Fuchsia City Gym, Ash and Serena used their psychic powers to effortlessly bypass a series of hidden traps. Reaching the inner sanctum, Ash defeated a ninja girl named Aya. Her Venonat fell quickly to Ash's Pidgeotto, while the rest of the group mistook Aya for the gym leader. Ash and Serena, already sensing the truth, wasn't surprised when her brother, Koga, emerged from the shadows. Stepping forward, Ash ignored the shock of his friends and firmly challenged the true Poison-type master. Koga was surprised to see Ash so calm, but still abiding with the gym rules, accepted his challenge. They were ready for the battle, but then Team Rocket interrupted them with their newly evolved Pokemons Arbok and Weezing, but were dealt with ease by Ash's Charmander and Koga's Venomoth. After that, Ash and Koga had their match, which Ash won with his shiny Charmander, who evolved into Charmeleon mid-battle, and with his Flamethrower Fire Spin and with his newly learned Metal Claw single-handedly defeated Koga's Weezing and Venomoth, winning him his 6th badge. Then our heroes bid farewell to the ninja siblings and left the Fuchsia Gym. On their way, Ash and team stumble upon Laramie Ranch, where they met a girl named Lara Laramie who got injured because of a Tauros stampede secretly caused by Team Rocket. So Ash helped her and decided to participate in the Pokemon race on her place. So he trained with her Ponyta, and after intense training and bonding, race day arrived. In the race, Ash, while riding Ponyta, found many traps on the track laid by Team Rocket and his rival Dario, which he easily avoided and taught the Rockets a lesson with Ponyta's Flamethrower, and later on the final stretch Ponyta evolved into Rapidash, blazing past Dario at the final moment, finishing the race on a first place. Ash, for winning the match, received cash prize of 10,000 with some evolutionary stones and a membership to Laramie Ranch, and after the celebration our heroes bid goodbye to Lara and hit the road. Later, in the search of Safari Zone, our heroes accidentally entered a Pokemon reserve where they met a mini 8-year-old Tarzan named Tomo, who lived in the forest with a herd of Kangaskhans. Our heroes saved him and the Pokemon of the Pokemon reserves from Team Rocket with the help of Officer Jenny. Then Ash helped in healing Tomo's memories with his healing power and helped him in reuniting with his rich parents. Tomo's parents, upon learning about Tomo's bond with Kangaskhans, decided to live with him in the Pokemon reserve. Our heroes bid farewell to the mini Tarzan and his parents and left the reserve. On their way, Ash and team took a break and were having lunch when suddenly Ash's bag started to glow. It was the glow of his Pokemon egg. Ash took out the egg, which hatched right after, and came out a twin shiny Pokemon. It was Eevee's, one with red eyes and other with blue. Seeing Ash in front of them, the baby Pokemon happily nuzzled to him. Then Ash introduced them to everyone. Later, after some training, he caught the baby Eevees in a Cherish Ball after he transported 2 of his Pokemon Deoxys and Gengar. Then everyone packed up and left the area. Upon finally reaching the Safari Zone, our heroes eagerly headed to the check-in counter. There, Old Man Kaiser warned them against using force on the Pokemon, or face dire consequences. He also mentioned rare Pokemon from other regions this year. Sparking their excitement, they nodded, paid the 4,000 Pokédollar fee, and each received 30 Safari Balls before venturing inside. That evening, they returned with their hauls. Misty snagged just 3 water types, a Krabby, a Slowbro and shiny Corsola, her temper making it a miracle. Brock caught 5. A Zubat, a Aaron, a Nosepass, a Swinub and a shiny Machop. Then Serena stunned them with her 15 catches. A shiny Growlithe, a shiny Marill, a Torchic, a Pichu, a Plusle Minun pair, a Clefairy, a Igglybuff, a Flabébé, a Rhydon, a Eevee, a Smoochum, a Ralts, a Starly and a Dano. While Ash blew everyone away with his 25 catches, in them were 8 Dratini with 2 shinies and 6 Dragonair plus a shiny Nidoran pair, a Growlithe, a Machoke, a Charmander, a Absol, a shiny Ralts, a Charcadet, a Gible, a Bagon, and a legendary Pokemon Suicune, who decided to join Ash upon sensing his connection with Arceus and seeing his relationship with his Mew. Everyone was shocked, but Kaiser outright fainted, and later on, upon coming back to his senses, he shakingly completed the formalities and registered the Pokémons to them. Then he also helped Ash in changing his Pokeballs to his preferred one. Then our heroes left the area and continued their journey. Later Ash and team came across a bridge which was connected to Sunny Town, their next destination. So they rented 4 bicycles only on which they can cross the bridge, and when they were about to ride away, Nurse Joy asked them for help in delivering medicine to a sick Pokemon in Sunny Town. Our heroes agreed and took the medicine and rode away. On their way, Ash and team were stopped by Team Rocket with a group of punks, who were dealt with ease by our heroes, and after some time our heroes delivered the medicines to the sick Pokemon, then rented a room to stay for the night. Next day our heroes left the Sunny Town, and in the middle of a forest they met a group of wild Pikachu who were being captured by Team Rocket on their Meowth hot air balloon. Ash with his Pidgeotto and Pikachu freed the wild Pikachus and sent the Team Rocket flying off again. Later our Pikachu became friends with the wild Pikachus but still said farewell and followed Ash at the end. Later on, Ash and team met a girl named Duplica and her Ditto when they were searching for shelter from the rain. They helped Ditto, who upon transforming couldn't copy the facial features, but with Ash's Mew, the master of disguises, help he learned very quickly and transformed into Pikachu perfectly on the spot. Duplica thanked Ash and Mew for help. Later, when our heroes were having fun watching Duplica perform with Ditto, they were disturbed by Team Rocket but were dealt by Ditto, who transformed into Gyarados and shot a Hyper Beam and again sending them flying off. Later, when rain stopped, Ash and team bid farewell to Duplica and Ditto and continued their journey. Ash and team had taken a break for lunch, and after a hearty lunch break, Ash dove into intense training with his Pokemon. Misty, Brock and Serena joined in honing their own team's skills. Later sweat and determination paid off. Squirtle and Beldum evolved into Wartortle, and Matang cheers erupted from the group, congratulating the newly evolved. Later on, with their spirits high, they packed up and continued their epic journey. On their way, Ash and his friends discovered an Eevee tied to a tree. A name tag identified the owner as Mikey, and Eevee explained to Ash that Mikey's brothers were forcing Mikey to evolve him against his will. So as a last resort, Mikey tied him here until the evolution ceremony. Ash took Eevee to the Mikey's address and confronted his brothers, arguing that a Pokemon's strength comes from training, and not just evolution, and that Mikey should choose his own path. And to prove his point, Ash's Riolu easily defeated the brothers' Pokemons in battle. Realizing their mistake, the brothers apologized to both Ash and Mikey, grateful for the help. Mikey thanked the group as they resumed their journey. Later, our heroes were looking for a place for rest, but on their way, they encounter a group of people trying to wake a sleeping Snorlax who was blocking the route of the water canal of the nearby town. Ash decided to help them and used his psychic power to woke the snoring Snorlax up. Upon being interrupted midway through his sleep, Snorlax got furious and attacked our heroes, but Ash with his Mew easily subdued him and added him in his team upon realizing his strength. Then our heroes helped in removing the spiky vines from the water canal route, and water started to flow normally again. Then soon they departed from there. In their way, Ash and team stopped for lunch like always, and after lunch Ash went to train with his Pokemons and had some battle with some passing trainers who challenged Ash upon noticing him train with his Pokemon. They all lost to Ash's Froakie, and after 10 consecutive wins, Froakie evolved into Frogadier. Ash's shiny Charmeleon came out of his ball and looked at Frogadier for a while, then smirked and told him that he is still stronger. But instead of taking it seriously, Frogadier also smirked and challenged Charmeleon for a battle, which sometime later, after giving their all, ended in draw. Both of them smirk at each other and collapse to the ground. Seeing that Ash sighed on their newly formed rivalry, then heal and returned them to their cherished balls, then packed his thing with his friends and left the area. Later, our heroes arrived in the Dark City, where they helped the residents from the Yas and Kaz gym. Ash defeated the gym leaders and their Pokemon, Scyther and Electabuzz, using his newly caught female Charmander, which he exchanged with his Gyarados for training purposes and his Bulbasaur, while others handled the gym members later. After that, Ash told the gym leaders to turn over a new leaf and help the townsmen from now on and repair all the damage they had caused over the years. From the side, the gym inspector walked in, who was none other than our beloved Nurse Joy. She agreed with Ash and then told the gym leaders that they would only receive their gym license after doing exactly what Ash had instructed. They agreed and went with their gym members to help the townsmen. Ash and team then said their goodbyes to the residents and left the town. Sometime later, Ash and team visited a nearby carnival where they met a struggling magician and his execute. They helped him with some of his tricks, but as they were helping, chaos occurred, and the cause of the chaos were a herd of executors stampeding in the carnival, and from one of their mind Ash found the cause. It was Team Rocket who wanted to catch them but instead scared them to this chaos. Ash used his psychic powers to calm them with no avail because of the numbers. So instead he used the traditional way and released his Charmeleon and female Charmander. Both used their full power flamethrower to stop the herd but were still not enough, and as Ash was encouraging them both to go further, female Charmander started to glow, evolving, and after she evolved into Charmeleon they dealt with the herd of Exeggutor. Then everyone congratulated female Charmeleon for evolving. Then later, after everything calmed down, our heroes left the carnival and continued their journey. Later on their way, our heroes met a young girl named Cassandra in the middle of a forest who was trying to help her weak Paris evolve into a Parasect. Her goal was to harvest the medicinal mushrooms from Parasect back to create a miracle potion. Brock, seeing a beautiful girl, proposed to her on the spot but was handled by Misty. Then Ash helped Cassandra and simulated some fake battles with Paris against his newly caught Bagon, Bulbasaur and Pikachu, where they acted as they lost to Paris, which gave her the confidence to evolve into Parasect. But right after her evolution, Team Rocket interrupted, wanting to catch the Parasect, but were utterly defeated by Parasect's poison attacks, and with Pikachu's Thunderbolt they were sent flying off. Later on, Cassandra thanked our heroes, then bid farewell to them and went to her lab to continue her research. Ash and team did the same and left the forest. Later, our heroes arrived in Neon Town, a boisterous town where the residents are constantly irritable due to a lack of sleep. Ash and team helped the residents with a Jigglypuff, who was seeking recognition for her dream of singing. So she helped the residents and sang her lullaby on a loudspeaker, making all of them fall asleep. Expect our heroes because of Ash and Serena's psychic soundproof barrier which they made around the group, leaving them untouched. Jigglypuff, seeing our heroes unaffected by her singing, was overjoyed because for the first time she had awake an audience for her. So she made her mind and went to Serena, the most elegant looking girl in the group, and asked to go along with her. Serena, overjoyed, caught Jigglypuff immediately. Later, when the residents woke up, they became energetic and lively, and continued their day-to-day life, while Ash and team left the town, being left unknown to the residents. Later, our heroes found out about a fossil harvesting festival in the Grandpa Canyon. They decided to participate and went there. In Grandpa Canyon, they met Professor Oak and Sycamore with Gary. Ash and Serena had a quiet reunion with them. Then our heroes, along with Gary, went for the fossil hunt. Ash used his aura to scan the whole canyon, and just then everyone heard a sound of a blast. They run to the sound and saw a massive hole in that area and Team Rocket running away from there. Ash, seeing that, sighed and shook his head, and as he was walking away, he heard a loud cry of a Pokemon, and soon after 2 angry Aerodactyls whoosed past him from the hole in the open and started to launch Hyper Beam everywhere. Ash's both Charmeleon came out of their cherished ball and challenged the fossil Pokemons, then started to attack them with no avail. Seeing the Charmeleon fail, both the Aerodactyls mocked them. Being mocked, both of the Charmeleon's anger rose, and soon they together started to glow and evolved into their final evolution, Charizard, one being black while other orange. And right after the evolution they took a flight and showed the Aerodactyls who the true bosses are as they beat the fossil Pokemons senseless with their Metal Claw and newly learned move Dragon Pulse and Dragon Tail. Then with a powerful seismic toss from the Charizards both of the fossil Pokemons fall to the ground and lose consciousness where Ash and Gary caught them. Soon both Charizard also landed and roared to the sky in triumph and got cheers from everyone. Ash also congratulated them, then returned them to their cherished ball and went to the hole from where the Aerodactyls came, and sensing something went inside with the help of a rope and explore the cave with his friends. Soon they found a group of other fossil Pokemons like Omanite, Omastar, Kabuto, and Kabutops, and as they moved deep inside everyone found some unique fossils, while Serena and Misty both also found a unique Pokemon eggs. Then soon after they returned to the Professor Oak and Sycamore where they told everything they found about the cave, and Professor Oak upon learning about other alive fossil Pokemons inside there immediately stopped the festival and made the mountain a sanctuary for the Pokemons. Then Professor Sycamore requested Ash for his keystone which he got from Mew on his birthday and promised to return it in a month. Ash nodded and gave him the keystone, and after a night of camping together Ash and team bid farewell to everyone and left the mountain to continue their journey. A few hours later our heroes were walking on a road when suddenly a truck rushed past them and was about to hit a tree trunk, but just in time Ash and Serena used their psychic powers and with little help from Mew easily saved the truck from crashing. Soon Officer Jenny on her motorcycle also rushed in and then arrested the driver, who was none other than Team Rocket, who were trying to run away with a truckload of Pokemons but lost their control in the mayhem but were saved by Ash, Serena and Mew. Officer Jenny thanked our heroes. Ash and team replied with a nod, then said goodbye to her and continued their journey. Sometime later, Ash and team were on the road when suddenly Ash's bag started to glow. It was the egg he got from dying Tyranitar. It was about to hatch. Ash took out the egg, which shortly after hatched with a radiant glow and came out a black rocky reptilian Pokemon. It was Black Larvitar. Everyone was astonished to see a totally different Larvitar, and Ash upon scanning him found that this Larvitar was a mutant Pokemon with dual typing like his Riolu. He was a rock and dragon type Pokemon. Then everyone welcomed the baby Larvitar to this world, and moments later Ash caught him and continued his journey. Later on their way our heroes were stopped by a roar, and when they looked towards it they were astonished because there was standing majestically was one of the legendary dogs, Entei. He was here to challenge Ash upon learning about his sister joining him. Ash wholeheartedly accepted his challenge and took out his big guns. No, not this one, this one. The shiny Ho-Oh, who had just returned to Ash after so long and were itching for a battle which she is going to get right now. Entei was shocked to see the descendant of his creator with Ash, and now he was questioning himself on why he even challenged him, but after few moments of silence he sighed and got ready for the battle, which didn't even lasted for 2 minutes. Entei lost to Ho-Oh after receiving some hyper beams, scared fire and ancient power. Ash then caught Entei in an Ultra Ball which instantly vanished to Professor Oak's lab. Then he with others hit the road again. Sometime later on their way our heroes saw a poster of Kid James from Rockets, and just then an old man in a butler uniform and in black limousine drove in and asked our heroes about James. Ash, noticing something off, told his friends not to answer via psychic communication, then used his psychic powers and probed the butler's mind and learned about James' past and his parents' plan for him. So he answered in negative to the butler's question, then left the area. The old butler also drove away in disappointment. Soon Team Rocket, who were bailed by Giovanni, arrived and saw the poster. Jesse and Meowth, blinded in their greed, took James to the address against his will and got captured in his parents' and fiancée Jezebel's trap, but somehow he escaped with Jesse and Meowth with the help of his old pal Growlithe. Then instead of leaving him there like in the anime, he caught that fire-type puppy in a Pokeball, then ran away with his tail between his legs and vanished from the sight. On the other side, shortly after ditching the butler, Ash and team encountered a thief, Farfetch'd, and his trainer. who wanted to steal their stuff but couldn't escape from our boy Ash's eyes, who caught him red-handed and handed him over to Officer Jenny. To his surprise, he even got bounty of 10,000 for catching him. Turned out he was a wanted thief with a hefty bounty on his head. Ash took the bounty and left with his friends to their next destination, a Pokemon Center, to rest. Few days later, our heroes were camping and enjoying themselves along with their Pokemons in the middle of a forest when suddenly the egg Misty been carrying hatched with a glow, and shortly a tiny egg-like Pokemon hatched. It was a Togepi. This cute little thing quickly got attached to Misty, started to treat her like her mother and snuggle to her. Misty patted her head, then caught her in a Pokeball and released her to carry her on her arms as she and others packed up and left to continue their journey. Few days had passed. Our heroes had decided to rest in a Pokemon Center nearby. On that night, suddenly Bulbasaur came out of his Pokeball and quietly slipped away from the room, but was noticed by our own detective Pikachu and Mew. They woke Ash and told him about Bulbasaur's abnormal behavior. Ash got worried and ran to the direction where Bulbasaur left, and moments later he saw Bulbasaur and quietly followed him with Mew and Pikachu on his side. After some time they reached a mysterious area filled with lots of Bulbasaurs and Ivysaurs, and in the center of the stage stood a large, majestic and old Venusaur. Then they soon started to sing together in some sort of ritual, and Ash, upon seeing all that, realized that it was the famous mysterious garden he had read about before. It's the place where Bulbasaur line evolves together for some reason, and just then, with a roar from the large Venusaur, all of the Bulbasaur and Ivysaurs started to evolve into their next stage. Now the moment we were all waiting for had arrived. Our OG Bulbasaur finally evolved into Ivysaur. Later, as all the Bulbasaur line were celebrating, rockets arrived in their hot air balloon. They were here to steal all the green toad Pokemons, but were sent flying off by the combined might of solar beams from all of the Ivysaurs and Venusaurs. Then later all of them bid farewell to each other and departed to their trainers, while the old Venusaur went back to his shelter in the large tree trunk. On the other side, Ash, as not to anger the departing Pokemons, he also silently left the area and waited for Ivysaur outside the garden. Outside, Ash, Mew and Pikachu congratulated the newly evolved Pokemon and went back to the Pokemon Center to tell the news to everyone. Next day, Ash and team stumble upon a Growlithe training camp, where Officer Jenny trains Growlithes as a police dogs. Ash and Serena also participated in the training with their Growlithe for a week and learned some new tricks on training canine Pokemons. Later on, they helped Officer Jenny on dealing with Team Rockets from stealing the Growlithes and put them behind the bars. Then as the week passed, they noticed their connection with Growlithe had increased astonishingly, which they were thankful to Officer Jenny. Then later on the final day, our heroes bid farewell to the canines and Officer Jenny and left the camp. Ash and team didn't met Todd here, since he was instigated by Team Rocket to follow Pikachu, but Rockets are still behind the bars and Giovanni didn't yet had bailed them out. Hence, Todd didn't cross paths with our heroes yet, and our heroes continued their journey without any setbacks. On their way, our heroes found out about a Pokemon League exam, which if you pass can get a ticket straight to participating in the Indigo League even without any gym badges. But since Ash don't believe in shortcuts and he was only 2 badges away from qualifying for the league, there was no point in even thinking about it, so he and team didn't stop to participate and resumed their journey. Later, as our heroes were crossing a town, they discovered about a new breeding center which helps in evolving Pokemons quickly. Misty, like always wanting to evolve her Psyduck, went there with everyone, and just as our heroes met the breeders, Ash sensed some malice coming from them, so he probed their mind for just-in-case scenario and found about their true intentions. They were a member of Team Rocket, Cassidy and Betch. "It's Butch, not Betch, you stupid mutt." Who said that? Or did I just hallucinate it or something? Well, anyway, let's carry on. The breeding center was a facade for the second Team Rockets to steal trainers' Pokemons. Ash exposed them to Officer Jenny as the Team Rocket members, and as a proof showed her the room where they had caged the Pokemon they stole in the pretense of breeding. Seeing how badly they were treating Pokemon, Officer Jenny didn't needed any other evidences and arrested the new Rockets on the spot. Then she thanked our boy for his help and took the Rockets away with the stolen Pokemons. Our heroes also walked away to their next destination while Misty walked with disappointed look for not being able to evolve her Psyduck again. A few days later, as our heroes reached a town for resupplies, there they discovered that today is the Princess Festival, and upon realizing it, Misty and Serena became too excited and rushed for a shopping spree because of the hefty discount today for girls. Later they participated in the Princess Tournament. Serena, Misty, and surprisingly Jessie from Team Rocket sweep the floor against every opponent they faced, and in the semifinals Misty faced some unknown trainer while Serena went against Jessie and her Arbok, which she won with her Raiden after some surf and rock throws. Then in the final she faced against Misty's Starmie. It was hard battle, neither Raiden or Starmie was ready to give up, but in the end Raiden won with his full power Thunderbolt and got the prize of large Pokemon Princess doll set, while Misty, for being the runner-up, also got the same prize, just smaller one, which they both packaged it to their home, while Jessie cried and complained for not getting anything. Later, after everything was done, our heroes were worn out, so they rented a room to stay for the night and next day hit the road. Sometime later, as our heroes were walking along the path, a swirling portal suddenly opened right in front of them, and from it emerged a small, pink, teardrop-like Pokemon. It was a shiny Celebi. She rushed straight toward Serena and gently tapped the egg she was carrying. The moment she touched it, the egg began to glow brilliantly, and soon after, it hatched. From the light emerged a blue mythical Pokemon. It was Manaphy, the Prince of the Sea. Everyone stood frozen in shock, still trying to process what they had just witnessed, when shiny Celebi quietly floated behind Ash, tapped on the Ultra Ball hanging from his belt, and with a red gleaming light she submerged in it. A confirmation ding followed, signaling a successful capture. Now, our heroes were still in shock. First a Manaphy hatched from Serena's egg, and then surprisingly Celebi let herself be caught in an Ultra Ball, and because of no other empty slots left for a Pokemon on Ash, it instantly vanished to Oak's lab. Seeing everyone frozen, Manaphy slowly approached Serena and confusingly asked if she was his mommy. Serena, still shocked, looked at him upon hearing that and slowly scooped him up and nodded with a smile. Manaphy also smiled brightly and hugged her, and after a while Serena caught him in an Ultra Ball. Meanwhile, Ash exchanged for Celebi with one of his Pokemon and talked with her on why did she joined him. The mythical Pokemon spoke, claiming to have observed Ash the Chosen One throughout his past, his present, and his upcoming future. She also acknowledged the profound bond he shared with his Pokemon, which she wanted to be part of. She then admitted that she might have joined him sooner, if it had not been for the Manaphy's egg. Knowing Celebi's power, Ash wasn't surprised she had seen his future. He also realized that drifting through time meant a life of total isolation. Her search for a companion wasn't just a whim, and since she had chosen him, Ash accepted her wholeheartedly. Then he returned her to the Ultra Ball. Just then Misty and Brock came out of their shock. They then applauded Ash and Serena's for the mythical catches. Then they all resumed their journey together. After a throughout journey of few days, our heroes finally got to the Cinnabar Island in the evening. Here they didn't met Gary since they were ahead of time compared to the anime, and Gary was somewhere else challenging some other gym. Then they all went to the one of Ash's mom's luxury hotel in the island. There they got a VIP welcome and got a 4-rooms luxury suite to stay. Next day they all went to search for the Cinnabar gym and found it closed. But then Ash remembered his dad saying in one of his stories that real Cinnabar gym is not in the open but hidden somewhere for normal tourists to see. And just as Ash was about to go and make the whole island upside down, he noticed an old man walking towards them. The old man walked to him and team and told them that he knows where the real Cinnabar gym is. It's just they have to answer to some of his riddles to get there. Ash noticed something is wrong about the old man. His mustache and hair were not real but a fake, so he read his surface thoughts and found out that he was the gym leader of Cinnabar Gym, Blaine, and he was testing them via those riddles. So Ash, showing sportsmanship, didn't went further and decided to overcome this challenge without using his powers. Now the riddle was Blaine built a gym the tourists could never see. It's in the place where a firefighter could never win. Ash and team thought for a while, and then Ash and Serena's vision suddenly went to a big volcano in the center of the island. They realized the truth and answered in unison, "Inside the volcano." Ash then added, "Normal tourists can't see it, since entry is prohibited. And it also has some room to build chamber for a gym, provided it doesn't erupt." He paused, letting Serena finish, "And since it's filled with lava, a firefighter could never win there." Upon hearing their answer, the old man smiled and congratulated them on their success. Then, he posed one final riddle. "It isn't a hat, yet it keeps your head dry if you're wearing it. It's only because you've already lost it." Ash smirked. The answer was already clear in his mind: a wig. He answered confidently. Then he exposed him by calling out on his fake hair and mustache. Blaine laughed heartily at having his identity being exposed so quickly. Then, tossing aside his disguise, he led the heroes to his hidden gym inside the volcano, where Ash challenged him for a badge. Blaine accepted, and a 3-on-3 battle began. Ash's Wartortle and Frogadier fought grueling matches, eventually taking down Blaine's Ninetales and Arcanine. Ash recalled his Pokemon to let them rest after their hard-fought victories. Despite being down 2 rounds, Blaine remained smirking. Knowing his ace could easily overturn the tide, he calmly made the call. A jet of lava erupted from the battlefield's magma pool as a massive Magmortar emerged. Ash countered by releasing his mutant Gyarados, who entered the battlefield with a deafening roar. Their clash was legendary, the intensity causing the very chamber to shudder. Then, after a final devastating Dragon Rush and Hydro Cannon in rapid succession from Gyarados, Magmortar fainted. Gyarados collapsed shortly after from exhaustion, but since Ash still had 2 Pokemon remaining, he was declared the winner and earned his 7th gym badge. Also got some Pokédollars. Then, to recover from the tiring battle, he went with his friends and Pokemon to spend some peaceful time on Cinnabar Beach. Next day, as Ash and his friends were leaving Cinnabar Island, they encountered a distressed Wartortle who led them to an injured Blastoise in an island. After Ash healed the Blastoise, he learned that Blastoise had been attacked by a mysterious, powerful and territorial Pokemon deep in the forest. And Ash, being Ash, asked for the location and went there with his friends. In there, they were suddenly attacked by a shadow, which later was revealed to be a wild Sceptile who attacked them for trespassing on his territory like he did to that Blastoise. That Sceptile was fierce and pretty strong for a wild Pokemon, and Ash, upon noticing the green lizard, decided to add him on his growing team. So he released his shiny Charizard. On the other hand, Sceptile smirked upon seeing a strong opponent. Had a fierce battle with him. He was agile, dodged many of Charizard's attack, but because of his lack of battle experience and clear type disadvantage at the end, got caught in one of Charizard's attack and got hit by his powerful Fire Blast, which knocked the green lizard out from the game. Then he got caught by Ash. Later, Ash discovered from Sceptile that he was not originally from here. He was abandoned by his original trainer 2 years ago for being weak Trico on his visit here. He was somewhat similar to our shiny Charizard, and because of that, Charizard sympathized with him, while Ash promised to make him the absolute beast just like Charizard. Sceptile, upon hearing that, looked at Charizard, then at our boy Ash, and nodded towards him. Then Ash returned him to his Cherish Ball and went back with his friends to the Cinnabar Island to wait for the next ferry. Few days later, after taking a direct ferry from Cinnabar to Pallet Harbor, Ash and his team walked to Ash's home. Along the way, Ash rescued a wild Mr. Mime from Team Rocket. Later in Pallet Town, Ash and Serena enjoyed a joyful reunion with Red, Delia, and Grace, who had officially moved her residency to Kanto. Misty and Brock were initially starstruck to meet the Kanto champion, but they soon grew comfortable during their multi-day stay, and before departing for his final gym badge, Ash left Mr. Mime to Delia. Realizing this Pokemon preferred a peaceful life at home over the heat of battle. Then he received his keystone from Professor Oak, sent by Sycamore, refined on a bracelet with a surprise Megastone of Charizard. Ash told Professor Oak to say thanks to Sycamore for the stone. Then our heroes bid farewell to Grace, Delia, and Red and walked towards the Viridian City. Later, Ash and team reached the Viridian City, but just then Misty received a call from her sisters calling her back to the Cerulean Gym. So Misty bid farewell to others and left for her home, while Serena and Brock accompanied Ash to face his final gym challenge. In front of the castle-like Viridian Gym, 2 guards stopped our heroes at the entrance. Then after verifying their IDs, they allowed them inside. Walking through a long corridor, our heroes entered the gym's battle chamber. There, a man in a black suit sat opposite them, wearing a nonchalant expression, one hand supporting his face while the other gently patted his elegant Persian. Seeing him, Ash realized this man was the gym leader. He stepped forward and issued a challenge. Giovanni accepted with a calm, domineering look and stated the rules as if it were a daily routine, which it likely was. Unlike other gyms you faced, this would be a full team battle. Whoever lost all their Pokemon first would lose, recited Giovanni. Ash nodded and readied himself for battle. Giovanni then sent out his Dugtrio first, which was defeated by Ash's Frogadier with ease. One after another, Giovanni's giant Nidoqueen and Nidoking fell to his Gyarados, followed by his elegant Persian to Riolu and his tank Rhyperior to Wartortle, who evolved mid-battle into Blastoise and with a powerful Hydro Cannon swiped away the rock giant. But surprisingly, even after losing his 5th Pokemon, there wasn't even a hint of worry on Giovanni's face. Instead, he looked almost exhilarated, as if he had been waiting for this day for a long time, and now it had finally arrived. Calmly, he recalled Rhyperior and fixed his gaze on Ash with a gleam in his eyes as a wild, unhinged smile began to form on his face. Then soon a dark, deranged laugh echoed through the chamber, sending chills down Serena and Brock's spines. Then a declaration came. Finally, a worthy opponent. Then he again continued his laughter, but then amidst it, a calm voice cut through. So, are you finally going to bring out that Pokemon you were hiding from the beginning? Ash asked, his gaze now serious as he pointed toward the wall beside Giovanni. Giovanni froze, a genuine surprise flashing across his face. So you know, huh? He looked somewhat shocked, but soon his wicked smile returned. It won't matter anyway. Soon you won't be able to tell anyone. With that, he pressed a hidden button. Hidden chamber slide opened behind Giovanni and armored Mewtwo drifted forward. Its restraints hissed shut, metal locking into place as psychic pressure fractured the floor beneath it. He flew and landed opposite to Ash, shuddering the ground beneath it. Ash, upon sensing the Pokemon's power, smirked, knowing it's going to be a tough battle. Shiny Mew wanted to battle this Pokemon, sensing some kind of bond with him. But Ash stopped her, saying that he is feeling something off about this Pokemon and that guy Giovanni, so he might need her later and it might be better if he doesn't show all of his cards right off the bat. So instead of choosing her or one of his other legendary Pokemons or Pokemons with the type advantage like Gengar, Ash released his one of the oldest and most reliable partner, who was forged through rejection and disappointments, became from weak abandoned fire lizard to one of his strongest. The Cherish Ball burst open and from it our shiny Charizard emerged with deftly shredding the psychic haze caused by Mewtwo's presence. A Charizardite X necklace handmade by Ash dangling from his neck, and with a simple gesture from Ash, a light flared as the Mega Evolution ignited, violet energy collapsing into the jagged form of Mega Charizard X, while blue flames were leaking from its jaws like a warning to his opponents. Giovanni was surprised upon seeing the Mega Evolution, but again his smugness returned with the full confidence in the armored Pokemon and with a cold, detached voice commanded him to attack. Mewtwo, upon receiving the command, struck with a Psystrike, but Charizard carved through it with Dragon Claw. Then he launched a point-blank Dragon Rush at him. The impact of the attack shook the arena, yet Mewtwo stopped it cold even from that low distance. Then he unleashed a psychic force that hurled Charizard across the floor, but Charizard with a roar broke free from the psychic hold. Then he flew towards Mewtwo and both collided with each other, which created a shuddering shockwave. Then they went back and forth and one after another launched numerous powerful attacks at each other. And right after dodging a Psybeam from Mewtwo, Charizard X vanished and soon appeared behind Mewtwo and launched a quick superheated fire spin out of nowhere. It caught Giovanni off guard, which made him unable to command Mewtwo to dodge in time. The intense heat scorched the plating, causing a permanent structural damage to the armor, and just at that moment Ash heard a cry of help in his mind via telepathy from the armored Pokemon. Ash then tried to create a psychic link between them to communicate further but couldn't find a proper breakthrough. The armor was blocking his psychic powers. He tried the same thing on Giovanni but got the same result. He didn't noticed before, but Giovanni was being protected from telepathy attack, highly likely from some high-tech device. But since the Pokemon had asked for help, Ash knew something was off, so after some thoughts he decided to free the Pokemon from the armor. So he shouted to his Charizard to attack with a fire blast, while via telepathy told him to specifically aim for the armor. Charizard nodded and went for the attack, but it was stopped midway by Mewtwo. Ash told Charizard to go all out, which he did, and soon after the attack became unbearable to hold for Mewtwo. Giovanni saw this and started to panic, realizing if Mewtwo took this attack then it might heavily damage the armor, which ultimately could result in freeing Mewtwo from his control. Fear for that to happen, Giovanni lost his calm and shouted for Mewtwo to move. The armor Pokemon was in deadlocked, and if he moved even a little bit the attack will consume him. But since right now he was fully controlled by Giovanni, he abided his command and moved, which gave Charizard's attack to break through and fully consume Mewtwo, then threw him towards the sidewall and with a blast collides with it, and with that collision Mewtwo's armor broke, freeing him from Giovanni's control. But it also got Mewtwo heavily injured and he dropped to the ground with a heavy thud from the ceiling. Seeing that, Giovanni screamed with disbelief, which instantly turned into anger. He then called for all the available Rocket members in the building and circled our heroes and Mewtwo, who was seriously injured after the battle. Then they walked towards injured Mewtwo, but Ash got on their way shielding Mewtwo. His friends follow suit and did the same from other sides. Mewtwo was surprised seeing the other humans protecting him, but then Giovanni walked to them and threw the Earth badge at him. "Take it and leave, you are not needed here now," he growled with a sneer. Ash caught the badge and put it in his pocket, since he had won this badge with his own efforts, but still didn't move and got ready for the upcoming battle. Seeing that, Giovanni growled an order, "Do it, and remember to not leave any evidence." "Yes, boss." Grunts and commanders shouted in unison and released their Pokemons to attack our heroes and the injured Mewtwo. But then a psychic force pressed down at them, crashing their head to the ground. Giovanni was no exception, and when they all moved their head with some difficulties to find the culprit, they saw Ash, Serena, and now fully visible shiny Mew glowing with violet energy and staring at them with sear anger. Upon seeing them like that, the grunts swallow hard while the commander's eyes widened, knowing the upcoming doom. But on the other hand, Giovanni's eyes were glued to the shiny Mew with an crazily obsessed look. He totally forgot his own situation, how he is still pressed down by the psychic power just now, and shouted, "Mew! Finally, I found you. Now you will be mine. Mine. Ha 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 ha." Giovanni's men looked at him as if he had gone crazy and was looking for death. The grunts subconsciously, with some efforts, little by little moved away from him. Giovanni, on the other hand, tried his hardest to get up, but the psychic force from Ash, Serena, and Mew was too much for him. And after trying for some time, he fully collapsed and got knocked out, while his men also couldn't handle the force and collapsed one after another. Ash then rushed to the injured Mewtwo and tried his hardest to heal him, and after some time the results started to show. One after another the injuries started to fill, and sometime later there wasn't even a scar left on his body. He got up, clenched his hands, still in shock on how a human could use healing powers. But soon his shock subsided and his thoughts drifted away from the present. He started to think on what to do now that he is free. Before, he wanted to get revenge on all the humanity, since he thought that all the humans are like Giovanni, cruel and shellfish, and wanted to free all the Pokemons from their clutches. But no, Ash proved him wrong. He, unlike other, didn't ignore his plea. He helped him get his freedom. He protected him when he was down instead of trying to catch him like others. What surprised him more was that he healed him from his injuries without asking for anything in return. Then he remembered Ash's battle he had with Giovanni before Mewtwo's arrival. He was behind the wall and not in control, but he was still conscious. He could hear, see, and feel everything. He heard shouts of excitement from Ash's Pokemon. He saw how Ash's Pokemons enjoyed every moment of that battle. He felt Ash's bond with his Pokemons, especially with his progenitor Mew, and seeing them like that now he was wishing to have it too. He also wanted to shout in excitement. He also wanted to enjoy his battles. He also wanted to have the same bond with someone like Ash has with his Pokemons. Ash, upon seeing Mewtwo's lost look, walked to him and offered him a hand and asked him to join his team. Mewtwo snapped out of his thinking and looked at Ash and saw a ghostly resemblance between Ash and the girl he was with in the cloning tank. His only close friend. Mewtwo then saw the extended hand and reached out to it and nodded in confirmation. Then Ash took out a Master Ball and holded it in front of Mewtwo. There were only 3 Pokemon on whom Ash had used the Master Ball, the ultimate powerhouses. One was his princess, other was his shiny Ho-Oh, and now the third one is on Mewtwo. Mewtwo for the first time smiled, then tapped on the Master Ball and got consumed on it with a glow. Then the Master Ball dinged in confirmation and vanished to Oak's lab. Ash, as not to let Mewtwo misunderstand, exchanged him with one of his other Pokemon and let it out to let him see what will happen to Giovanni and his grunts. Sometime later, after being called by Brock, Officer Jenny with some other officers soon arrived and rushed inside the gym. She, upon a thorough investigation and search of the gym and some insight from Mewtwo, found many hidden chambers, and inside those chambers she found documents proving Giovanni's leadership to the criminal organization Team Rocket, other than that of obvious grunts and commanders laying unconscious on the ground with R written on their clothes. Officer Jenny thanked our heroes, then arrested all of Rocket members while they were still unconscious and took them to the police station via many police vans and locked them all up. Then she awarded our heroes with Good Citizen Award and gave them the bounty that was on the Giovanni's head, which was around 2 million Pokédollars. They also got the smaller bounties of all the grunts and commanders who was arrested alongside Giovanni, which was around 500k. There were around 100 people, but they still couldn't compare to one Giovanni. Our heroes happily took the money and went to the nearby Pokemon Center to find a lodging. Next day, Ash was relieved. He had finally conquered all 8 gyms and was ready to participate in the league. But to his disappointment, there were still 3 long months before it could begin. With a sigh, he pocketed his frustration and returned to Pallet Town. But before they returned, they took a round of trip to Cerulean City to pick up Misty, only to find her alone in the gym. Flashback: when Misty received the call from her sisters, she thought that something bad had happened at home because of the urgency in Daisy's voice. She rushed home only to find the gym and the house completely empty. The only thing waiting for her was a letter on the sofa. After reading it, she was livid. It contained just 2 sentences. "We're going on a trip, take care of the gym." A winking emoji was crudely drawn at the end. Feeling utterly cheated, Misty tore the letter apart and roared at the sky. "You all can go to hell, you duckheads." Her shoulders slumped as she let out a tired sigh, then turned and headed for the gym to open it herself. Flashback: and Ash and the others tried their best not to laugh, but Serena couldn't hold it in and burst out laughing. The rest quickly followed suit. That was the last straw for Misty. Ticked off, she gave them a taste of her fist, knocking the laughter right out of them. Later, after learning that Misty wouldn't be able to join them for now, they said their goodbyes and left. Along the way, Brock decided to take a break as well, choosing to reunite with his family and stay home for a while. Understanding it, Ash and Serena said goodbye to their lover boy and continued on to Pallet Town. In Pallet Town, Ash enjoyed his time with his parents, while Serena and her mother, Grace, joined them as well. He rested there for a week, and when it ended, Ash made up his mind. He decided to go into seclusion and train all of his Pokemon for the league. And for that, he already had a place in mind: Mount Silver. Ash packed his things and prepared to leave. Serena wanted to come along with him, but Ash stopped her and told her that instead of following him to a desolate place, she should travel around and find her own dream while he was away. He then promised her that if she had discovered her dream by the time he returns, this time he will be the one to join in on her journey. Upon being rejected by Ash, Serena slumped in sadness, but when he promised to walk beside her later, she smiled and nodded. She packed her bag and decided to head to Hoenn to learn more about Pokemon contests she had heard of back in Kalos. She had been interested before but delayed it to travel with Ash. Now, she wanted to truly explore it and see if it was the path she wished to follow. In the end, Ash and Serena said their farewells to their parents and walked away down two separate paths for the time being. After leaving Pallet Town, Ash released his shiny Charizard and rode on his back. After some time, they crossed the Indigo Plateau, but just before reaching Mount Silver, the sky darkened and the weather turned icy. The harsh conditions made it difficult for Charizard to fly, so Ash told him to land. They were only few miles away from the mountain, so Ash returned Charizard. He then quickly covered Pikachu and Mew in his fat jacket he took out from his bag. Then he walked with heavy steps to the mountain. After the whole day of walking, Ash with Pikachu and Mew finally reached the peak. It was icy and desolate with snow covering the half of the area. Ash founded a cave for shelter and decided to make it as his base for the next 3 months, then started training with his Pokemons. He switched them time to time and trained them with everything he had. 3 months later, Ash was standing on the edge of the Mount Silver's cliff. On his shoulder was his princess and Pikachu, while his majestic shiny Charizard was standing beside him. Then Charizard bent, letting Ash sit on him, while Pikachu placed himself on Ash's lap and Mew on his shoulder. After Ash was settled, Charizard flapped his wing and shot to the sky, now unfazed by the icy weather that had troubled him before. Sometime later in the Indigo Plateau, Serena, Misty, Brock, Delia and Grace were waiting near the registration counter of the Indigo League for hours. They were waiting for our protagonist. Red was not here because as the current champion he had to do some official work before the tournament could begin. Suddenly then a shout jolted them all up, and when they all turned to the voice they saw a familiar boy with a Pikachu on his shoulder. It was Ash. Everyone upon suddenly seeing him looked at him with sudden surprise and a silence fell. But then Serena broke the silence and rushed to him. She jumped and slammed herself to him, and after some time, when she came back to her senses and realized what she had done, she jolted up in embarrassment. Her face reddened. She quickly turned her face to not let others see her embarrassed look. Everyone laughed, which made her more embarrassed. Seeing that her mother decided to spare her daughter, she quickly stepped in and changed the subject. She told Ash to register for the league before the time runs out. Ash nodded and quickly rushed to register himself, and after a digital spin he was placed on Group D, and his first match was 16th on the list in the Waterfield against a guy named Mandy. Ash, after confirmed the time for his first match, he with others walked away and went to eat. Soon Red, after finishing his work, also joined them. They chatted for a while. Ash told them about his experience on the Mount Silver. Everyone were shocked to hear about the atmosphere of that mountain except Red, who had also went there before in his youth. Delia, upon hearing that, freaked out and, like all the mothers in the world, quickly took her son for a full body checkup. She only calmed down after seeing nothing wrong on Ash's medical report. Then after some more chatting they all went to rest in one of Delia's hotel in the Indigo Plateau after this tiring day. The next day in the afternoon Ash was called out for his match. Ash rushed to the Waterfield. Against him stood a guy named Mandy. Mandy was wildly popular with the local crowd, drawing loud cheers, along with boos aimed squarely at our hero. Which, as the writer, I couldn't take it, so I dropped a thunder at all of them. Ha 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 ha, cough cough cough. Just kidding guys, even as the writer I can't break the wall, can I ha? Ash remained unmoved by the hostility, but then he saw his mom and friends started cheering for him, a serene smile appear on his face. But on the other hand, seeing everyone cheering for him, it boosted Mandy's confidence. A smug grin spread across his face. He taunted Ash for being unloved by the audience, but it didn't do a dime to him, which irritated Mandy. But before he could continue, the referee cut in and instructed both trainers to prepare. Mandy swallowed what insult he was going to throw at our boy and with sneer at him nodded. Ash, on the other hand, gave a small nod of confirmation as well. Then the referee announced the rules. A 3-on-3 battle, and the victory will go to the trainer who will knock out all of their opponent's Pokemon. At the signal, Mandy sent out Executor and immediately resumed his insults once again. Ash now getting irritated by his gloating, he calmly took out a Cherish Ball and released his Gyarados. The ferocious water type roared, shaking the entire stadium. Mandy's face drained of color upon seeing the majestic serpent, his earlier arrogance replaced by utter despair. Ash wasted no time. Gyarados made quick work of the match, one-shotting Exeggutor, Seadra, and Golbat in rapid succession. By the end, Mandy collapsed to the ground, his expression utterly defeated. The stadium fell completely silent while referee announced the result of Ash winning. On other hand, Ash recalled Gyarados and slowly walked away. Just as he walked to the door, loud cheers again started to echo through the stadium, but this time it was for our boy Ash. Ash didn't show any outward reaction and disappeared through the door. A week later, Ash now stood in the grass field, facing his final opponent of the preliminary matches. A final victory against the girl named Jeanette Fisher before him was all he needed to qualify for the top 16. His last two matches after Mandy had gone the same way, swift and overwhelming, each one using only one Pokemon. In the rock field, he had relied on his fighting-type powerhouse Machamp, which had evolved during the brutal 3 months of training on Mount Silver. While in the ice field, he unleashed his female Charizard, whose Fire Blast shattered the entire arena. Now, the crowd was cheering loud, but this time it was for both of the trainers, and in them were his friends and mom were the loudest. Ash ignored them in embarrassment and reached for his Cherish Ball and released a Pokemon clad in violet, knight-like armor, the Cerulege, the evolved form of his Charcadet. Before, knowing Charcadet's growth would be slow without evolving him, Ash had prepared in advance. The day after the registration for the Indigo League, he asked Red to find both the malicious and auspicious armor, which he did. He spoiled his only son and delivered it to him right after his match against Mandy. Ash then gave Charcadet the choice. Charcadet felt a connection and without hesitation, he touched the malicious armor and evolved into Cerulege. Now in the present, Cerulege faced Jeanette's Pokemons. It was a swift and clean battle, and one by one he defeated her Beedrill and Scyther with a powerful Flare Blitz. Bellsprout was little agile but still couldn't compare to Cerulege's speed. It quickly got overwhelmed by him, and after getting hit by a direct Bitter Blade he lost consciousness. The referee quickly began the countdown, and after it ended he announced the result, declaring Ash the winner. Few days later, Ash was in the stadium, excited for his first match in the top 16. His opponent for this match was a guy named Richie. He was a strong opponent, and was also the guy he got acquainted with a few days ago, when he had saved him from being robbed by the OG Team Rocket. Flashback: Team Rocket Jesse James and Meowth, who were still ignorant by the fate of their organization, had disguised themselves as the authorities, and in the facade of taking participants' Pokemon for a final checkup, they took Richie's Pokeballs and quickly wanted to run away with them, but our boy Ash stopped them and returned the Pokeballs back to Richie. Richie thanked him profusely, and after some time he walked away. Ash then turned to the Rockets and told them about their organization's fate. For the first few minutes they were in disbelief, but then soon a sigh of relief broke through from their mouth and a stream of tears began to fall. They were finally free. In the start, when they discovered the true face of the Team Rocket and Giovanni, they wanted to quit, and they could have, if the penalty for leaving the organization was not death. They had lived through constant fear, and that fear had led them to do the organization's shady works like stealing Pokemon and all. The trio hugged each other, and after some time they calmed down, and with a newly discovered resolution they decided to follow their dream. Ash didn't stop them and let them go upon sensing their overwhelming guilt and resolution to change themselves. Then with a smile he himself walked away. Flashback ends. After the preliminaries, every match was going to be a full-on 6-on-6 match. Richie and Ash were ready for battle. Richie had come to the battlefield with a Pikachu, a Butterfree, Charizard, a Tentacruel, a Swellow, and a giant Tyranitar. When the match began, Ash against Richie's Pikachu chose his shiny Nidorino. Later in the middle of the battle, Nidorino evolved into Nidoking. and with a stomp destroyed the battlefield, leaving the yellow mouse Pokemon heavily injured and unconscious. Then against Butterfree, Ash went with his fully evolved Pidgeot and defeated the bug type in a one fell swoop. Then against his Charizard stood Ash's Gyarados like a wall. With a Hydro Pump sent the fire lizard flying off. Then Tentacruel fell to his Sceptile and Swallow was crisped by the shiny Charizard, but his Tyranitar was a beast. It took everything from Gyarados to finally take down the Rocky Dinosaur, making Ash the winner, qualifying him for the next match. 2 days later, now Ash was again in the stadium for his top 8 match, and this time his opponent was none other than his old buddy, his arch rival, Gary. They were both smirking, exciting glint shining in their eyes. They both had waited for this day ever since they had first met. Now it has finally arrived. Gary took a deep breath and then took out his Pokeball, then with a toss released his first Pokemon, Golem. Ash on the other hand gave a serene smile and took out his own Cherish Ball, and also with a toss released his heavy green Toad, his finally evolved Venusaur. Venusaur with a slam shook the entire stadium. He looked at the Golem and took a stand for the battle, and with the referee's signal, match begin. Golem used Roll Out and covered the distance between him and Venusaur quickly. Then with a jump gave himself the altitude to slam a direct Roll Out to the green Toad Pokemon. Everyone thought it will be a direct hit, but then right in front of everyone's shocking eyes Venusaur vanished. The Golem slammed where Venusaur stood just a few seconds ago. Upon hitting the empty ground, he took all the impact on himself and got injured, followed by dizziness. He soon groggily stood up, but Venusaur didn't give him time to think. He suddenly appeared behind him. Then he hit the dizzy Golem with a powerful Vine Whip, launching the rock type hurtling away. He crashed to the stadium wall, knocked out. Everyone were shocked. They had never seen a totally heavy tank like Venusaur to move this fast. Gary was no different. He was also looking at the Venusaur with the bulging eyes. His expression was nothing but of a disbelief. After a few moments, upon getting a reminder from the referee, he finally snapped out and quickly returned his Golem. Then he took out his second Pokemon, his Nidoking. Ash also returned his Venusaur and let his Pikachu play. Nidoking used Earthquake. Pikachu avoided it completely by jumping in the sky in that exact moment. Then, still hovering in the mid-air, Pikachu used Agility and appear right in front of Nidoking, and with a spin used his Iron Tail, which landed straight to the purple giant's forehead. It shook the entire stadium and sent Nidoking flying back. But Nidoking, after flying 2 to 3 meters away, collected himself, then with a roar launched an Hyper Beam at our yellow mouse. Pikachu dodged it with Agility and used his new move he learned through his training in the Mount Silver. He clenched his fist, a glowing aura shimmer around his tiny arms, and then with a combination of Agility appear right in front of the purple giant and launched his glowing fist at Nidoking's guts. It was Focus Punch. A tear of pain fall from his eyes and reminding him of his mom. He was then launched back with a full force. But this time he wasn't able to stop himself and was crashed to the stadium wall unconscious. Then, after returning Nidoking, Gary took out his Aerodactyl, who was knocked out cold by Ash's Blastoise's Hydro Cannon. Then on the 4th round Gary released his Fire Dog Arcanine. Our glutton Snorlax easily dealt with him with a direct Hyper Beam. Then on the 5th round Ash's newly evolved shiny Metagross blasted the Gary's old companion Blastoise with a Flash Cannon. Now Gary was sweating profusely, but upon glancing at the Master Ball in his hand, he took a deep breath and with a toss, released his Galarian Moltres. Everyone was surprised and speechless to see an legendary Pokemon, and on top of that a Galarian version of the Kanto birds. Ash was also somewhat surprised since he also had never seen a Galarian Moltres before, and that was it. He was surprised but not shocked or afraid from the Moltres. He with a small gesture returned his Metagross, and then with a small pause he also took out his own Master Ball and with a toss released his latest addition to his team, Mewtwo. Mewtwo, upon noticing his opponent, floated right in front of him. A glint shining in his eyes, he was actually quite ecstatic for the match. On the other hand, everyone was again surprised, but this time it was for Ash and Mewtwo. They have never heard of a Pokemon like this, this, but from his lingering aura they knew he was powerful. Gary was thinking the same and knew it was going to be an hard battle, and upon referee's signal, they began. Gary started with commanding his Moltres to attack with Dark Pulse. Mewtwo dodged it with ease. Then he rushed with a Brick Break. Moltres dodged it by flying up, then launched air slashes one after another, which was blocked by a transparent barrier effortlessly. Then Mewtwo rushed and attacked him one after another. Moltres retaliated with the same furiosity. They clashed. Then after some back and forth, Ash discovered opening in Moltres' defense. A plan formed in his mind, which he shared it with Mewtwo via telepathy. Then when a cloud appeared on their next clash of moves, Mewtwo used it as decoy and vanished via agility. Just a moment later he reappeared few meters away behind the black flaming bird and launched an aura sphere. The attack caught Moltres off guard, which enabled him to dodge, and before he could realize it landed right between his wings and launched him towards the ground. Mewtwo quickly followed up with an ancient power which landed squarely on Moltres' pitiful face. A painful groan left from his mouth. He tried to get up, but his body gave out after one after another super effective moves, then with a final groan fell unconscious. Then after the referee's countdown, Ash was declared the winner, qualifying for the semi-finals. Just after Ash got declared as a winner against Gary, he silently returned his Mewtwo and slowly walked to stand still. Gary was clutching his fist and there was a hint of terror in his eyes. Ash slowly placed his hand on his shoulder and with a smile said, "It was amazing battle, man. Hope we could do this again in the future." Gary's eyes shot up. He thought Ash was mocking him, but when he saw the honesty in his eyes, Gary's eyes solemn. A hint of smile slowly appeared in his face. Then with a determined look nodded. They both fist bump and Gary declared, "Next time I will win for sure." Then side by side they both walk away. Audience seeing the friendship between the rivals and just a moment before enemies, they applauded loudly while Ash and Gary slowly disappeared through the gate of the battlefield. Few days later, Ash had just finished his semi-final match. It was against some girl named Lila Rose. Ash against her Staraptor used his Pikachu, who with a newly learned Electro Ball blazed the flying type into Crisp. Then against her Camerupt, he used his fully evolved Greninja, who with a large water shuriken knocked the quadrupedal away. After that she took out her Slowking, who was sent spiraling away with a Shadow Ball from his Ghost-type Buffoon. Then her Electivire fell to Ash's Sceptile, her Leafeon lost to Absol, and her Salamence, who was the ace of her team and had single-handedly won her many battles but still was no match for Ash's Black Tyranitar. The Rock and Dragon-type Tyranitar was a beast. He with a Dragon Pulse, Outrage, and Hyper Beam crashed the Dragon Lizard to the stadium wall, and with the referee's announcement qualified for the finals. 2 days later, Ash was standing in the stadium for his final match. Calm and serene look covering his face. Behind him echoes of loud cheers were coming from the stands, while right in front of him stood a guy with long gray hair and red coat. He was the native from Sinnoh, Tobias, here for only one purpose: to win the Indigo League. There was some mysterious vibe around him, and to everyone's surprise he had won every one of his battle with only a single Pokemon. And what shocked everyone more was that lone Pokemon was none other than Sinnoh's Dark-type mythical Pokemon Darkrai, and according to the rumors Tobias had more legendary Pokemons other than Darkrai. It was the mystery that everyone wanted to discover, and hopefully they could witness it today. While Ash, knowing how important this match was to him, he didn't take any chances and came here with his strongest team. Ash and Tobias was staring at each other, an intense atmosphere building around them. Then with the referee's signal released their first Pokemon. Tobias, as always, started with his Darkrai, but Ash refusing to play by the rules. He sent out a Pokemon even Tobias hadn't expected, a shiny Ho-Oh. Everyone, including Tobias, stared at the majestic bird in shock. A trickle of sweat slid down Tobias's face, but a second later, his expression hardened into determination. Then at the referee's signal, The match began. Darkrai started with Dark Void launching a ball of darkness in rapid succession, but our golden bird dodged it by flying above the sky. But Darkrai didn't stop. He followed suit, ready to launch another dark-type move. But Ho-Oh vanished. He stopped and looked around to find Yellow Bird. But before he could, he heard his trainer's urgent shout. "Above you!" Surprised by the sudden shout, his head snapped up and he saw Ho-Oh ready to launch an attack. And before he could do anything, a powerful sacred fire crashed toward him. Then with a boom and a cry of pain, he was launched towards the ground. After a few meters of flying backward, Darkrai caught himself and launched a dark pulse toward the shining bird. The attack pushed whoosh through, but instead of crashing into the yellow bird, it was halted by a transparent shield and soon was reflected. The Ho-Oh immediately counterattacked and used Giga Impact, which was too fast for Darkrai to react. So Ho-Oh slammed to him with quite a tons of force. Darkrai felt the crushing force and again was shot backward like a bullet, but this time, he was unable to stop himself and was crashed to the ground, falling unconscious. Everyone was in awe at how swiftly Ho-Oh had taken down the Darkrai. Tobias was no different. He stared at the shiny, majestic Ho-Oh in utter shock, his eyes so wide it seemed they might burst from their sockets. He was not ready to accept the reality that his Darkrai had fallen after just a few moves. Disbelief clouded his face as he continued to gaze at Ho-Oh. But then some moments later the referee's voice shattered his stupor and pulled him back to reality. Tobias clenched his Ultra Ball tightly and, with a trembling hand, recalled Darkrai. After a few deep breaths, his composure returned, along with his calm smile. He then took out another Ultra Ball and with a toss released yet another legendary Pokemon, Latios, leaving everyone stunned once again. But what shocked everyone even more was how quickly Ash's Mega Charizard XA non-legendary Pokemon had dealt with Latios. The battle turned in an instant. Charizard X fired a point-blank Dragon Pulse that struck Latios head-on. The impact sent Latios crashing to the ground, leaving it unable to battle any further. Ash looked at the defeated Latios calmly. Before the match started, Ash had thought of going with a normal pace, but for some reason his inner voice was against it, telling him to go all out and not to show any mercy to this opponent, as if they had some past grievances to settle. But he was certain they had never crossed paths before, yet he chose to trust his instincts and go all out. That was why, instead of holding back with one of his less powerful Pokemon, he immediately sent out his powerhouse, his shiny Ho-Oh. Now, Ash will never find out that this wasn't a grievance from his own past he had forgotten, but the ghost of a brutal loss another version of him had suffered in some another universe, and somehow, that remnant had found him to seek revenge for his stead. Now, this will be the secret I will bury within myself, the author, as long as no one gets the power to break the fourth wall. After another swift defeat, this time at the hands of a non-legendary Charizard, Tobias's eyes widened. With a single sweat dropping from his face, he finally realized that his smooth journey to this tournament had finally come to a halt. He had hit a wall, and to him, that wall seemed endless. Still, he shook his head, not yet ready to give up, unclipped another one of his Ultra Ball, and released Latios's sister into battle, Latias, but she fared no better than her brother. Yet it wasn't Charizard who defeated her, it was Dragonite. And this Dragonite was the leader of the Dratini lineage Ash had caught in the Safari Zone. Once one of the Dragonair he caught that day. It had evolved after grueling training on Mount Silver, and now, it stood as the most powerful non-legendary Pokemon on Ash's team at this moment. Dragonite with Blizzard and Draco Meteor had put down the Psychic Dragon type with ease. Ash decided not to switch and have Dragonite continue, which he did. He went ahead and dealt with Tobias's other two Pokemons, his pseudo-legendaries, Hydreigon and Garchomp, but then he was halted by Tobias's final Pokemon, the opposite of Darkrai and also his other half of the lunar duo, Cresselia. She looked majestic. She had halted Dragonite's winning streak and after some efforts took down the worn-out Pokemon with Thunder and a full power Hyper Beam. Ash returned him with a thanks for the battle, then with another hand unclipped his Ultra Ball and with a toss took out his alien Pokemon Deoxys, who instantly transformed to his attack form and attacked Cresselia. To everyone, this battle again started to look like it was going to be an equal clash, but Deoxys proved them wrong and showed his superiority. Then with one after another Dark Pulse and a final full power Giga Impact took down the Lunar Princess. Then after the referees' countdown, Ash won the Indigo League tournament and got the qualification to challenge the Elite Four, and taking the championship title from his dad, Ash returned his Deoxys, and after a handshake from Tobias and a promise to battle again, he walked away through the exit. A few hours later, Ash walked to the center of the stadium. He stood at the podium and collected his tournament trophy from Charles Goodshow, the organizer of the league, with a check of $5 million. Then after the trophy ceremony, Ash united with his family and friends, and then they all went to celebrate for him in the Delia's resort. Few days later, Ash, his friends, and his family had returned to Pallet Town after an unexpected delay in his long-awaited battle against the Elite Four. The reason was simple: Agatha was retiring. The league officials, wanting to honor the legendary Ghost-type master, decided that Ash's Elite Four challenge could be an excellent farewell for her. So they approached him with this request. While Ash, because of his dad, was acquainted with the Elite Fours and especially with Agatha, who had always treated him like her own grandson, so he didn't hesitate when he was asked to be her farewell Pokemon match. He agreed without hesitation with a smile. The organizers, after discussing with themselves, told Ash the time, which was scheduled after 2 weeks, to make it a grand venue. So that's why for now there was no reason for Ash to remain at the Indigo Plateau. So he returned home with everyone. Now, here they were. Delia had gone all out. She had thrown a large banquet party for Ash. Nearly all of Pallet Town had been invited, along with distant relatives and even a few influential business magnates from other regions. Laughter echoed beneath the evening sky. Everything was going perfect. Until the sky broke. A thunderous boom shattered the festivities as something massive crashed into the far end of the yard. The ground trembled, glass rattled, guests screamed. But after calming down, everyone rushed toward the impact site, only to be stopped by the Ketchum family guards, who quickly formed a perimeter. But 3 figures pushed through. Ash, Delia, and Red. What they saw froze them in place. There, carved into the earth, lay a being of legend, Dialga. The temporal Pokemon's once majestic, steel-blue body was torn and scorched. Cracks ran across his armor like hide. His breathing was shallow, uneven, energy flickered weakly around him like a dying star. He was barely conscious. As Ash rushed forward, Dialga's crimson eyes flickered open for a single fleeting moment. His voice was faint, ancient and heavy with warning. "He is coming." Then darkness claimed him. Ash didn't hesitate. His aura flared around him as he pressed his hands to Dialga's wounds, then channeled every ounce of his strength he had. Still, it wasn't enough to fully restore a being who governed time itself, but it was enough to stabilize him. Later, with careful and coordinated effort from him, his mom and other psychic relatives, they moved Dialga to the estate's medical room. It was big enough to treat him. For an entire hour, a team of doctors with Professor Oak worked relentlessly. It was hard for them because of his size, but still they gave their all and finally stabilized him. And after a full day of rest, Dialga regained his consciousness. He soon realized that he was not dead. Then, as his instinct ruled him, he instantly rose to his full height, ready for battle. But then again he realized he was not in the battlefield and sighed in relief. Then he noticed his injuries were treated. His body was wrapped in full of bandages. His movements were slower, restrained by injury. He exhaled slowly. Then he sensed it, a presence. His gaze shifted, and soon locked onto a boy standing calmly across the room. But not merely any boy. Around him shimmered something ancient, something unmistakable. The faint echo of Arceus power flowing through him. It was Ash. Recognition dawned on Dialga's eyes, the chosen one. He sighed in relief. He was at the right place. Slowly, he walked towards him. Each movement was heavy, yet controlled. He stood before Ash like an immovable tower of steel and divinity. Yet when he spoke, his voice was smooth, deep and ancient. But there was something more Ash noticed in his voice. It was a hint of desperation. So Ash urged him about it, and then he also asked how and why was he injured this intensively. Dialga's deep telepathic voice echoed in his mind, but this time it was not him alone. The voice echoed through the entire room as Red, Delia, and Ash's friends, all of them, stared at the Titan with surprise and curiosity as the Titan began his story and told them everything from the start. Flashback. Dialga as always was clashing fiercely with his eternal rival Palkia in Palkia's dimension. Time and space rapped with every strike they threw at each other. But then suddenly, the sky split open with a blinding crack, forcing them to halt and stare in wary silence. From the rift emerged Arceus. Relief flickered in their eyes, but it was only for a moment, when they both sensed a dark energy flickering from the god of Pokemon and realized something was off. And soon their intuition were proven right, as the divine light gathered around the original one, and without warning, Arceus unleashed judgment. A devastating surge of celestial power that could have engulfed both dragons in radiant destruction, if they had not dodged at the last moment, but it was still not enough, as the force of the attack had still pushed them miles away, proving that even time and space has to bow to their creator. Dialga and Palkia gathered themselves and with a powerful roar stopped mid-air from flying away and countered with their own powerful moves like Hydro Pump and Steel Beam, but it was still no use. It couldn't even penetrate Arceus's shield. Soon the battle had attracted the final member of the creation trio, Giratina, who arrived in his serpent form, and just as he appeared was attacked by Arceus, and as the saying goes, enemy of an enemy is a friend. So he joined the other two and fought Arceus back with aggressive ferocity. The battle became even fiercer as the clash of the attacks had started to shake the entire realm, and as the creation trio were about to push him away, the crack from which Arceus had appeared suddenly surged with more dark energy, and it got wider. Then a blast of energy whooshed from it which was powerful enough to knock the trio away from Arceus. And what followed the ball of energy was a spaceship, a very large one. It was big enough to fit about 20 or so Dialgas. The ship followed through his last attack, and a large ball of energy blast launched from its cannon, and with a combination of attack from Arceus, it instantly landed at the creation trio. The attack, surprisingly to the trio, easily broke through their defense and injured them heavily, and as they were losing consciousness, a man in dark battle suit with a mask covering his face floated before them in a levitating disc from the spaceship. The masked man stared at them for a while, and without saying anything he took out a black Pokeball and with it started to catch the creation trio. He one by one caught Palkia, Giratina. They were caught easily without any struggle, partly because of their injuries and partly because of the black ball he was using. Then as he was about to catch the time Pokemon, something unexpected happened. A moment of recognition appeared on Arceus's face, but it was limited, and as he pushed his will to its limit to break free from the control, a cry of pain left his mouth which because of its unexpected nature startled the masked guy. But upon trying with everything, Arceus realized, even with everything he still couldn't break free. So instead of trying to break free, he put the last ounce of his strength together and created a portal beneath Dialga, sending him to Earth. But before he went through, Arceus telepathically whispered to him, "Find the chosen one, he is the last hope this universe has." The portal closed. Arceus also stopped struggling, his eyes again becoming dulled. The masked man stared at the place where Dialga was moment ago, an empty black Pokeball still in his hand. He clutched the ball tight enough that it shattered into pieces. Other than that, he didn't express any outward or aggressive reaction. He just sighed, and clipped out another black ball and returned Arceus, then walked towards his ship and murmured, "Lucky them, they will have few more days of peace." Murmuring that, he returned to his ship and flew away. Flashback end. Ash, his friends, and his family stared at the bandaged Dialga. their faces frozen in utter shock. If the words hadn't come straight from one of the creation trio, or if they hadn't seen the dragon's grievous wounds for themselves, they never would have believed it. Even now, it was nearly impossible to process. How can someone actually control a being beyond life and death itself? How? This thought raced through everyone's minds in a whirlwind of bewilderment. As the air got thick and hung heavily with stunned silence, everyone rooted in place. Then, cutting through the hush, Ash's voice rang out. His expression had shifted from wide-eyed disbelief to steely resolve. So, do you have any idea who he could be? Or where did he come from? Or how long will it take him to reach this dimension? Dialga paused, its massive eyes flickering with thought. Then it met Ash's gaze and slowly shook its head in denial for the first two questions. But for the last question, Dialga's eyes flickered for a moment, its mind piercing through layers of time and space. After a moment he reached a conclusion and answered, his voice ringing with confusion. For some reason I can't see through the masked men's future. But going through of my own I found that, right now Lord Arceus's last bit of pure energy is still protecting this realm with a barrier, and since the Lord Arceus of the present doesn't possess the pure energy of its past self, it will take exactly 3 months for that man to bypass it. Then his eyes stopped at Ash as he continued, and according to Lord Arceus, you the Chosen One are the only hope left for this world. Upon hearing Dialga's answer, disbelief rippled through the group once more. Then curiosity sparked in their eyes, for a man even the Lord of Time couldn't fully see through. But upon getting an exact time for his arrival, they all sighed in relief. But that relief shattered with the final sentence. Everyone's eyes widened, snapping towards Ash in surprise, but then the harsh reality crashed down at them like a bucket of cold water, color draining from Delia's and Red's faces, upon hearing that one day Ash, their son, have to face Arceus, the god of all Pokemon, the almighty creator. Then the shock twisted into sorrow as they grasped what he will have to go through. The sorrow deepened into fear at the thought of what will happen if even Ash fails at the end. A tense atmosphere thickened around them, sweat beading on every forehead, hearts pounding in the heavy silence. After a long moment, Ash's face hardened with unyielding resolve. He decided to embark on another journey, this time not for badges, dreams, or titles, but to gain enough power to face the creator of everything, Arceus. Alongside him going to be Giratina, Palkia and that masked man who can control them all. He might possibly also have to save the world from them. So he knew that training his Pokemon alone won't be enough since they all were already at their peak, so he decided that along with his training he will also collect every possible power-up items to give them all a boost and finally to add new powerful members who one day can actually stand against the god of all Pokemon. With that resolve he packed his bag and was ready to embark on his next journey, but before Ash could begin, he glanced at his friends, asking if they wanted to come along. Misty and Brock shook their heads, their expressions heavy with resolve. We'd only drag you down, Misty said firmly. Time was limited while hurdles endless. It'd be faster with just him and Serena. Plus, in case of emergencies, their powers could save each other while others would be only a helpless burdens. Ash gave a sad smile, then nodded and started to walk away with Serena, but before he could a voice stopped them in their tracks. It was Dialga. He told Ash that their destiny was linked. And the road ahead is full of hurdles, so it will be best if he take him along. Everyone was now in utter shock, and right in front of their shocking eyes he nodded and took out a Master Ball and caught the injured Dialga. Then Ash released his black Charizard for himself and Dragonite for Serena and flew away with her. While others still follow them with their shocked eyes. Then after some time they broke the stupor and Delia and Red hurriedly walked inside while Misty and Brock went home to spend those moments with their families, just in case something actually goes horribly wrong so they won't have any regrets later on, while his parents Red and Delia went to contact every help they could. Ash and Serena on the other hand set off to Kalos as they were most familiar with it aside from Kanto. After arriving, their journey kicked off in Lumiose City, where they first crossed paths with Professor Sycamore, and as the time was not on their side but eager to power up their teams, they set out and rushed across the entire region on Charizard and Dragonite, only stopping for battles and catching Pokémons. They bolstered their squads with fresh Pokémon joining them, and each battle along the way forged unbreakable bonds between them. Later on, Ash located and he sincerely convinced the elusive Aura Trio to join him to defend against what is coming. They all proposed the battle, but this battle was not for supremacy for any of them but a test they set for the Chosen One to prove his worthiness in front of them, which he did and passed the test and defeated all of them one after another. He used Dialga, who was now fully healed from Ash's tireless care and aura-infused healing, forming a powerful bond with him. Dialga used his time-bending powers in his battle against Zygarde, and took him down, but the battle still took heavy toll on his recently healed body, and right after defeating him, he also collapsed. But the battle must go on, so Ash took out his Mewtwo and Ho-Oh, who got their chance and faced Xerneas and Yveltal respectively and defeated them. Ash then caught all of them in a Master Ball and continued his journey with Serena. Later after that he also freed Hoopa from his restrictions. It wasn't hard, it only took him a little bit of Arceus essence in him to break the seal. Hoopa after so long had felt this kind of freedom and in excitement teleported around with the help of his rings, then after calming down decided to come along with Ash and joined his team. Serena on the other hand also added some Pokemons in her team like the mini panda Pancham, Agumi, and surprisingly the mythicals Diancie and Volcanion, who she bonded with the help of her psychic power and convinced them to join her. Later as they continue their journey, with the help of Ash, her Fennekin, Ralts and Torchic all evolved into their second forms. After that, as they traveled through Kalos, a region famed for its glittering trove of Mega Stones, Ash and Serena also searched some Megastone mines located near their main route and found some rare and different raw shining stones. Some they took for their current Pokemons, while some for just in case they caught a Pokemon suitable for it in the future. While Serena also got her hands on a keystone along the way, which she now wore on her neck as a necklace handcrafted by none other than our boy Ash. Then after finishing everything they wanted to do in Kalos, they got on Charizard and Dragonite and flew away to their next destination, Alola. There they met Professor Kukui, completed the challenges of Guardian Deities and Kahunas of the Alola region, got their Z rings. Ash got a black one while Serena got white with Z crystals, which included Electrium Z for Ash's Pikachu and Firium Z for Serena's Braixen. Then, knowing the severity of what's going to happen, Lunala and Solgaleo appeared and gave Ash the opportunity to challenge them for battle to add them on his team. And Ash did. He took out his newly caught Yveltal and defeated them one. His Dark-type attack easily overwhelming their Psychic and Ghost-type moves and defeated them one after another. Then he took out his Ultra Ball and caught them. Then after the battle, Tapu Koko and Tapu Bulu decided to come along with Ash, while the other two quickly bonded with Serena and also decided to come along with her. On their way they also encounter some Ultra Beast and caught them. Ash caught the Dark Dragon-type giant Shiny Guzzlord and Grass Steel-type Kartana, while Serena caught Pheromosa, a bug-fighting type, and Celesteela, a steel-flying type. Then after collecting more different types of Z crystals for their other Pokemons, they left Alola and took off for their next destination, Sinnoh. There was only one reason Ash wanted to journey to Sinnoh: to find the Adamant Crystal and help Dialga reclaim its true origin form. This wasn't the watered-down version from the games, where the attack and defense stats simply swapped places. No, the true origin form would unleash a massive boost across all of Dialga's stats, restoring its primal and ancient powers. Finding the crystal wasn't much of a hassle, thanks to Dialga's pinpointed guidance to a remote island on the region's west side. And thanks to Ash's innate mastery of aura, He easily sensed the crystal's energy pulsing across the entire landmass, mirroring Dialga's own energy signature perfectly. So with Serena at his side and the massive steel dragon hovering nearby, Ash led the way toward the energy signature, while Dialga, whose face remained a stoic mask of indifference, but a keen observer might catch the faint spark of excitement flickering in his eyes. Ash noticed it too and smiled inwardly. Soon, the energy trail drew them to a jagged cave at the heart of the island, where the air hummed with ancient power, and Ash, Serena, Mew and Pikachu with Dialga landed at the entrance of the cave, which was big enough to even let Dialga pass through. They ventured deeper, the walls pulsed with faint, ethereal light. At the cavern's bottom was a vast chamber, where a brilliantly glowing crystal floated in the center. Its radiance was blinding. It casted rainbow shards across the stone like a captured aurora. As our heroes reached for it, a searing flash erupted, swallowing them all in an instant. Sometime later, when they all came to their senses, they saw an old man standing in front of them. Everyone was first confused, but upon sensing the tiny bit of aura leaking from that old man, they were utterly shocked, because that tiny bit of aura was still enough to even make Dialga bow down. And when they heard the dragon address him as my lord, Ash put two and two together and understood why that man's little bit of leaking aura so terrifying. He was the lord of everything, the one who even created the father of all Pokemon Arceus. Lord Xylon. Ash quickly pulled Serena and also bowed down. Lord Xylon slowly walked to Ash and told him to get up, which he and Serena did, then with a serious face said, "You don't have much time on you, he will be here soon." After saying that, he put his hand on Ash's head and glimmering yellow energy passed on his body. "It will help you to at your most crucial time." After saying that, he also conjured a glimmering orb. It was adamant crystal. The crystal floated to Dialga and a moment later was absorbed by him. Then a blinding glow covered his body. Everyone looked at him in anticipation as he soon started to transform and a moment later stood in front of them in his true origin form was the true origin Dialga. Everyone was mesmerized, and then moment later after that mesmerizing scene as Ash turned back to ask Lord Xylon more about the Masked Man but found the place empty. Lord Xylon had vanished. "Don't look. You won't find him," Dialga's voice echoed solemnly. That was merely a projection of his true self. Once his task was done, he faded away. Ash understood, but still, he wanted to know about that Masked Man and also about the new power he got. He focused inward, struggling to tap the golden energy. With effort, he coaxed out only a fraction of it. A sparkler compared to the inferno waiting to ignite from him. Later, Ash and Serena left the island and went to the mainland, where they found an accommodation and let out for the day. Next day they again started their journey. On their way, Ash located Regigigas and the 5 legendary titans. He battled Regigigas with his own titan Zygarde with his 100% form and defeated him. Then he caught the normal type titan with his Master Ball, and later on the 2 of the legendary titans, Regirock and Regidrago. While Serena got the chance to catch Regieleki, Registeel and Regice. Then later both also caught some non-legendary Pokemons. Ash saved a abandoned Chimchar who decided come along with him, while Serena caught a naughty Piplup, a Silcoon and a Shinx. After that they left Sinnoh and went to their next destination, Unova. Ash had only one purpose for coming to Unova, that was to add Zekrom, Reshiram and Kyurem on his team, which he did. He first located Zekrom to the Sword of the Vale Castle and luckily also found Reshiram there. Our princess the shiny Mew dealt with him. Then he also saved Victini and freed him from his seal, and as he had nowhere to go and he also got along with Mew and Pikachu, so Ash took him along with him. Later he went to Frost Mountain and caught Kyurem there. Then he left the Unova and went to Galar. In Galar, Ash and Serena got their hand on a Dynamax band and later they saved Galar from the Dynamax Eternatus wrath. It took the help of his legendary team along with Zacian and Zamazenta, and after a fierce and grueling battle and mega-evolving Mewtwo, they defeated the Flying Titan. Then Ash went ahead and caught the Poison-type dragon. Later, after a battle of compassion, also caught Zamazenta and Zacian. While Serena also got her hand on some cool Pokemon's Akamo-o and Dragapult, then they left Galar and went to Hoenn. In Hoenn, Ash and Serena saved the slumbered Groudon and Kyogre from the evil organization Team Magma and Team Aqua, whose ambition was to control them and get the power over land and water. Ash defeated the both evil organizations, woke the land and water giants up with the help of the red and blue orb. It also triggered their primal reversion with the help of that same orb. When the giants woke up from their slumbers in their primal form, and the first thing they saw was each other, it made them both agitated, and soon that agitation turned to pure unadulterated anger. And a moment later that anger exploded and a land-breaking showdown began. The showdown was so fierce it was shaking the entire area, creating earthquakes and tsunamis. And this could have continued if Ash didn't have came in the middle and stopped them with his Ho-Oh and newly caught Zekrom. He subdued them and later caught them both. Then as he and Serena was about to leave, a black serpent dragon descended from the sky. He was here to save the world and be a mediator between the ground and water-type buffoons, but found the fight already over. And it was none other than the Chosen One who had saved the day. He was baffled, but the bafflement soon turned to understanding, and the understanding to eagerness. Eagerness to have a battle to the person personally chosen by the Lord Xylon himself. He was here expecting for a battle, and he was going to get one. One way or another, he challenged Ash for the battle, which Ash agreed, and battled the shiny Rayquaza with his Mega Mewtwo Y. The battle was fierce, they clashed one after another. But in the end Mewtwo came on the top and defeated the Serpent Dragon. Honestly, only an idiot could miss a chance like this, and thankfully this version of Ash was anything but an idiot. So he took out his Master Ball and caught him without a hitch. Then after that he and Serena got on their ride and left the area, and decided to visit the Orange Islands. The Orange Islands was nothing special, he was only going there to find the Guardian of the Seas, Lugia. Really guys, I just don't understand why Lugia doesn't have water typing. Come on man, it really doesn't make any sense. Bro is literally the guardian of the seas and lives deep beneath the ocean, but still doesn't have a water typing. Instead he is a psychic. Flying does make sense because of its massive hand-like wings, but why psychic? They could have just made him a water and flying type and he could use some psychic moves like other Pokemons. But well, what can I say? What's done is done, and it's not like I am the one who did this blunder. So let's leave it at that and just focus on the story. While traveling from one island to another in the search of the Silver Bird's legends, he found some leads which lead him to Shamuti Island, and that island then led him to Elemental Bird's Island, but found only Zapdos, who was in Moltres' Fire Island looking for someone. But when he saw Ash and Serena on Charizard and Dragonite, he attacked them fiercely, so Ash didn't had any choice but to defeat him and catch him. And just as he caught him, a large ship appeared just above them. When Ash saw that ship with Moltres and Articuno trap on some kind of net hanging from the spaceship, his first thought was that the Masked Man had arrived before the time. But when someone named Lawrence III called from the speakers of the ship, ordering Ash to surrender Zapdos, he unconsciously sighed in relief. He and Serena quickly landed on the ship, destroyed it with the help of his Pokemon, freed the fire and ice birds, and captured the lunatic Pokemon collector. Later, just as they were about to leave in disappointment as Ash didn't find Lugia, he sensed something and stopped his Charizard in his tracks and looked down in the ocean. Soon a shadow appeared on that spot, and just a moments later, a colossal silver bird erupted from the waves in a thunderous spray of foam. It was Lugia, the guardian of the sea. Upon seeing him, a hint of smile appeared on Ash's face. His search for the guardian of the sea has ended here. While Lugia on the other hand looked calm, but if someone looked closely, they can notice a hint of excitement growing in his eyes. He'd been watching for a while, drawn inexorably by this chosen one's deep, ocean-like aura, and that aura had led him near the shores of the elemental bird's island, where he arrived just in time, and first-hand witnessed the chosen one's and his Pokemon's power. He was surprised when he saw how easily Ash and his Pokemon had saved the elemental birds and had destroyed the Psycho Pokemon Collector's massive ship, which he himself could have done it with the same efficiency, but there sure is a difference between him and the chosen one's Pokemons. He is a legendary while there were not, and that what mesmerized him. Ash's two non-legendary Pokemon's firepower was almost equal to his, and after witnessing that he was looking forward for a battle with him, so when he saw Ash and his team leaving the island, he had no choice but to reveal himself. After a moment of a stare-down contest, Lugia finally dropped the facade and challenged Ash. He was eager for a battle. It had been long since he had a worthy opponent, and hopefully this chosen one can satisfy him. On the other hand, upon seeing Lugia's eagerness, he himself was hyped up. He quickly accepted the challenge and returned to the Elemental Bird Island's shore with Serena for the battle. At the shore, Ash was face to face with the floating Lugia, still thinking who to choose for the battle, and after some deliberation, he finally decided to go with his own flying bird, who had type advantage against the Guardian of the Sea, Yveltal. Soon Yveltal and Lugia started the battle. They fired their powerful attacks one after another. Yveltal attacked with Dark Pulse, a move super effective against the part Psychic-type Lugia. But Lugia didn't back down. He countered it with Aeroblast. After some struggling, both attacks reflected each other. Then Yveltal went with Foul Play and Phantom Force, both also a super effective move, but Lugia countered with Extrasensory and Hydro Pump. Foul Play and Extrasensory reflected each other, but Hydro Pump came on top on Phantom Force. But it still missed the Dark-type bird. Then after some back and forth, with Yveltal's type advantage and his special ability to drain life energy of the other party, he quickly got an upper hand against Lugia and sometime later defeated him. He and Serena got on their ride and decided to return to Kanto and train their newly caught Pokemon. After some days of flying, Ash and Serena had finally returned home. Delia and Grace, upon seeing their children had returned home safely, they quickly rushed to them and embraced them. Sometime later, after the emotional reunion, Ash and Serena didn't waste any time, and after having a satisfactory lunch, quickly went to the training yard and started training with their Pokemons. They trained their new Pokemons and adapted them with their training style, while Ash also trained his old Pokemon, train those who can Mega Evolve, or use Z-Move, or can Dynamax, so they can get used to it. And just like that, doing nothing but training, the final days of peace had came to end. And just as Dialga predicted, exactly after the 3 months, a rift appeared on the exact spot from where Dialga fell to Ash's mansion's yard. And this time everyone was ready for it. Red had called the Aura Guardians from Cameron Castle and the champions of every regions, while Delia had called her own psychic family for this earth-saving fight. And right ahead taking the charge was our protagonist Ash, with beside him stood Serena, Brock and Misty. All were ready to give their all for this battle. Soon from the rift, the same spaceship Dialga had mentioned before had appeared. Upon seeing this massive ship, everyone's face hardened. This battle might be their last, but still there was no fear in their eyes. Instead, there was an ironclad hard resolution of giving everything for this battle. They knew what might be at risk, so they ready themselves, ready to act anytime. Just then the ship's hatch opened and the masked man slowly descended in floating disc. The dark, dense aura around him sent the chill down everyone's spine. But still it didn't make them back down, instead it had solidified their resolve. While on the other hand, the masked man was little surprised to be welcomed by so many people, but when he realized that Dialga must have ticked them It instantly turned to indifferent. He slowly floated down and stopped few meters away from everyone. Then his gaze turned to our protagonist and said in a deep dark voice,
I know the Avatar of Time is with you. Hand him over to me and I will leave without harming anyone.
But Ash didn't back down. He looked at him without any fear and reply without a hitch and denied. Then questioned him on what's his motives are, or why was he controlling Arceus, Palkia and Giratina and wants to control Dialga too. Which he, as expected, didn't got any answer, but still he got some ideas. So he didn't press any further and took a stand, knowing the talk's not gonna help. The Masked Man released Arceus, Palkia, and Giratina. All of them were surrounded by the dark, dense, menacing aura. Their eyes were glimmering with malice. Ash on the other hand tightened his fist, then after a long deep breath released all of his most powerful Pokemons. There was the Flying One, Lugia, Ho-Oh, Rayquaza, Reshiram, Zekrom, Kyurem, Yveltal, and others. Then there was the Land Titans. Regigigas, Origin Form Dialga, Primal Groudon and Kyogre, Zygarde, and some others. Then there's Mewtwo Y, his Ultra Beasts, and his strongest non-legendary Pokemons. It was because of the severity of this situation the league official had given the special permission to the every trainers who are participating in this battle can carry as many Pokemon as they can to face this doomsday. So Ash didn't miss this and had come with every one of his legendaries and other strong Pokemon who were almost at par with his legendaries. Seeing this many legendaries on their side, everyone were amazed and also got more fired up. But on the other hand, the Masked Man just arched an eyebrow behind his mask, mildly surprised, but it barely rippled his composure. A menacing growl laced his voice as he sneered,
Fine, you won't hand him over? Ah, even better, now I get to crush you all.
After saying that, the Masked Man sneered at them all for defying him. With a deep, calm voice, he ordered the controlled god of Pokemon and 2 creation gods to strike the humans' one and only line of defense. Then he commanded his starship Cone to release the bots. Soon, a massive swarm of bots descended from the ship and launched forward toward the army of Aura Guardians, Psychics, and Pokemon trainers. Everyone froze in shock at their sheer numbers. Some unconsciously took a step back, but a second later they snapped to their senses, clenched their fists, and unleashed their aura and psychic powers, while those without powers released their Pokemon for battle. Okay guys, for not confusing everyone and myself, I will call the trainers, including the Aura Guardians and the Psychics who had come for this battle, the Protectors. Since they are trying to protect the world from this unknown Masked Man. Now let's continue. Ash himself didn't stand still. He commanded all his Pokemon on the field to attack the legendary gods with everything they had. Both sides unleashed their most powerful moves, crashing together in a fierce, earth-shattering clash. The shockwave hurled many of the humans back. Ash on the other hand held his ground with his powerful surging aura, while the Masked Man, who remained poised on his floating disc, hands folded untouched. A transparent shield had erupted from his floating disc, shielding him automatically from the raging energy waves. On the other side, the energy beams clash of the legendaries finally concluded. Ash's Pokemon wielded great power, but the dark legendaries were no pushovers. Outnumbered as they were, the other party combined assault couldn't break through theirs, and soon it dispersed in a massive shockwave. Ash's Pokemon didn't stop, they pressed forward, surrounding the mind-controlled trio. To an outsider stumbling upon the scene, Ash might have looked like the villain right now. Cough, cough. But what can I say? Everything's fair when it comes to saving the world and protecting your loved ones. Back to Ash, facing the masked villain, he didn't sit still. He leapt into the fray himself with a startling furiosity and rushed forward towards the Masked Man. On his way he destroyed many of the bots, and when he got close to the Masked Man, he instantly started with hurling an aura sphere straight at the Masked Man. But to his shock, the blue blazing orb was halted, and soon was dispersed against the same transparent shield from a moment ago. But Ash didn't halt or back down. Instead, he pressed on and charged with an aura psychic fused empowered punch. And this time, when the punch landed on the shield, a small spider-webbed crack appeared on it, which even surprised the masked antagonist. On the other hand, upon seeing a crack on the shield, Ash hyped up and threw a second one, and this time with a more vigor. The power-charged punch struck the shield. This time it completely shattered the barrier like a glass. But the punch didn't stop. It surged forward for a clean strike on the masked man. But before it could connect, the masked man's black-gloved hand snapped out and stopped it cold in its track. On the other hand, Ash's Pokemon were having a fierce and relentless battle with the Dark Trio, and with their relentlessness, soon they took down the Dark Palkia. But before they could set their eye on the Dark Giratina, Arceus launched a field-wide Dark Judgment. It instantly knocked many of the protectors and their Pokemons into unconsciousness, and many of Ash's weaker Pokemons were also got caught in the crossfire. Only the most powerfuls and Whatifs like 100% form Zygarde, Regigigas, Mega Shiny Rayquaza, the Primal Groudon and Kyogre, Lugia, Ho-Oh, Mewtwo Y, Eternatus, Xerneas, Yveltal, Solgaleo, Lunala, and the Pokemon whom to protect everything is happening. The origin form Dialga were the only ones still standing with some cuts and scratches. They were not in any mood for backing down. Back to Ash and the Masked Man. Ash was locked in a brutal hand-to-hand clash with the Masked Man. The others wanted to help, but they had their hands full with the never-ending swarm of bots. And even if they broke free, the battle between those two was far beyond anything they could even approach. Even Red and Delia were helpless, so what chance did they have? Later, after some intense back and forth, Ash forced the Masked Man off his floating disc. But still, he couldn't break through his defense. Instead, from the looks of it, the Masked Man had the upper hand. You may ask how things have come to this. For that, we have to go back a few minutes ago. Ash tried to yank his punch back, but to his shock, he couldn't. The Masked Man's strength surpassed anything he'd expected. And now that he was this close, Ash sensed a lingering trace of suppressed aura within that man. It was surprising, but he had no time to dwell on it. He surged more aura into his arms and wrenched it free. He reached out with psychic powers to probe the villain's mind, but something blocked him, likely a device.
Don't bother with that. You won't bypass my mind-blocking device.
The Masked Man's voice echoed, as he pointed to a small gadget on his neck. It was a typical overconfident villain style of spilling his weakness, but unlike most, this one had the raw power to back it up. And now, that strength soon overwhelmed Ash. After some back and forth, he dropped to his knees, gasping for breath, on the verge of defeat. The battlefield around him lay strewn with wrecked bots. The Masked Man gave no quarter. He launched a final strike, an aura sphere, but twisted, pitch black, pulsing with malice instead of the usual glowing blue. Delia, Red, and Ash's friends cried his name in desperation, while others held their breath, bracing for the end of the hero. But before it struck, something shocking happened. The dark sphere halted midair, blocked by a radiant yellow energy shield that had flared between them. Ash staggered to his feet, staring at his hand in surprise. Then a flashback hit. An old man's voice.
It will help you when you need it the most.
A hint of a smile tugged at his lips. Moments ago, he'd been teetering on loss, faces of loved ones flashing by. Now, he got another chance. A chance to flip it all. And then, something even more astonishing happened. A tendril of that glowing yellow energy peeled from his body, whooshing toward his remaining Pokemon. Back to the Pokemons now only Arceus from the dark side and Dialga, Zygarde, Regigigas, Eternatus and shiny Mega Rayquaza from Ash's side had remained on the field injured but still standing. Giratina had fallen, but the price for it was very heavy. Only 5 of his Pokemon remained, while Arceus on the other hand was injured but was still standing tall. While Ash's remaining Pokemons were on their last legs, but then a yellow ball of energy rushed towards them. And then, it divided into 5 pieces and got absorbed into them. A surge of energy quickly rushed through them, healing their previous injuries and giving them a power boost enough to deal with the final and most powerful boss. They all gather every last bit of their energy together and launched a rainbow-color energy beam. The combined beam of energy broke through Arceus's defense and hit him with its arm. The attack launched Arceus backwards and crashed him on the starship, destroying it and knocking Arceus out of the battle at the same time. Back to Ash. This new power gave Ash an uncanny advantage against that man. The battle, which had seemed one-sided in the Masked Man's favor, had totally shifted. Now Ash was overwhelming him. The sudden shift in power shocked the Masked Man, but that shock quickly turned to a desperate struggle to block Ash's relentless punches. Soon it became an overwhelming defeat. And when he saw his last hope, Arceus, defeated and his starship was destroyed, he was utterly broken. Only one thought stormed through his mind.
How? How did I lose? I had been just a moment away from the victory. How did this happen? How?
A tempest raged in his head, blinding him to Ash approaching from behind. Ash quickly destroyed the blocking device around his neck. Then, using his powers, he probed his mind. Soon, he uncovered the truth. The Masked Man's name was Tryon, and shockingly, he was once an Aura Guardian in training from Cameron Castle. He had been weak as an Aura Guardian but a genius known for his unique creations. Later, driven by his thirst for knowledge and power, he abandoned his training midway. Later in his journey he stumbled upon an ancient runes, which had accidentally teleported him to another dimension. There, he learned to wield his aura, which had twisted dark and far more powerful after merging with that dimension's chaotic energy flow. And there he also realized that to become the strongest and rule the universe, he had to seize control of the mightiest Pokemon, the god of all Pokemon and his creation trio. For that, he crafted a device using that dimension's energy. It took him decades to complete it, but in the end it had ultimately led him to dominate Arceus, Palkia, and Giratina. After learning everything about this Masked Man Tryon, Ash signaled a few of his guardian friends to take him away. Once they did, he looked around the destroyed battlefield, at the defeated Palkia, Giratina, and Arceus. Finally, he took a deep, long breath of relief, and collapsed, whispering one final sentence. Finally, it's over. The end. That's all for today. If you enjoy this video, then please give a like and share it with your friends. Also subscribe this channel to get more amazing what ifs in the future. Alright, then see you guys on my next video. Goodbye, farewell and sayonara.